What is going on, everybody? It is episode 480 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I was caught off guard once again. I'm trying to still get back into the swing of things since I was in Santa Barbara. Someone said I got a tan and a Valley Girl accent while I was there, and I wanted to dispel those rumors because that's certainly not true. Mary getting a tan, it's never going to happen. Certainly not on purpose.
Welcome to, Pop Culture Crisis.
Yeah, whatever. So we have Libby on today.
Hey, Mary. How's it going?
Thanks for being back.
Sure thing. Glad to be here. Hey, Brett.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Doing good?
Yeah, hanging in.
And the traffic wasn't... The traffic sucks right now.
The traffic sucks right now.
Yeah. For people who don't know, out in this
sucks
area...
right now.
It really does.
It's totally bad right now.
I thought I'd just do the Valley Girl accent.
We can do that the whole time. That's fine.
Yeah.
Should do that. I won't be off-putting at all. It'll be completely normal. Guys, before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video? Would you subscribe to this channel? If you have not subscribed already, we are pushing towards 75,000 subscribers, so please go ahead and do that if you haven't. Remember to turn the notification bell on. I always have trouble with the word notification bell because I speak too fast. It comes out as a mumble every time. Turn the notification bell on so that you can be notified anytime a new episode or a new live stream goes live. And please remember to share these videos with your friends. We want more people to come in here, hang out, watch these episodes. Also remember, all super chats $20 and over. We will read them right then and there. We will interrupt the discussion. I will do my very best to get on topic after we're done. I always mess it up, but I try my best. Also, if you have questions for Libby, you can just interrupt and ask questions of Libby right then and there. That's what you can do.
Okay.
This is an AMA for Libby now.
Yes.
Hey, how about that?
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about here. Breaking news that came just before we went live, which is good because normally the big breaking news stories come 30 minutes
5
after.
PM.
It's 5 p.m. or it's 4 p.m. when we're mid-show, so we haven't had time to vet or look at anything.
Then someone brings it up in the super chats, and then we're like, oh, I don't know.
And we look bad at our jobs. Hate that. Friday. Well, everyone knows Fridays in the afternoon is when you dump stuff you don't want people talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, big news. Disney has, in fact, delayed their ill-fated Snow White movie over a year, ladies and gentlemen. That is a long time. It's going to be coming out in 2025 now. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about the fact that, hey, it gives you just enough time to not hate Rachel Zegler by the time it comes out. So
maybe.
We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about this hit piece that the Mary Sue wrote about Brett Cooper because it kind of connects all of those stories together there. Also, big news. Taylor Swift is, in fact, a billionaire thanks to her Eras tour. And then people in the chat were saying Taylor Swift must be paying Tim $1 million a day to talk about Taylor Swift so much. I don't think we had any topics on Taylor Swift at all this week.
Well, be proud of that, but that time is up. We need to talk about it.
A billionaire going on a gazillionaire because she seems to be the smartest and most gifted capitalist here in America.
We can also talk a little bit about her re-recorded 1989 album that was released. I guess that was last night.
Wait, she re-recorded it?
Yeah, she's still in the process of redoing all of her records.
Why?
But this one is... Well, just so she can own it again.
Oh, the own it
But
thing.
Technically, it still doesn't belong to her. It just belongs to her new record label.
So
maybe
she
her
owns
current
4 of her 6 albums now. 4 of her 6. She's waiting to re-record the first 2.
But they belong to Republic Records.
I'm assuming she's a stakeholder in that company. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about the UFC Bud Light debacle, which has Dana White. He commented about it on Fox News, and I want to talk about it because we're going to tie it in with this article from an interview with the head of Great American Family. If you don't know what Great American Family is, it is an offshoot. It's a company that was started to kind of be a alternative option to companies like Hallmark, which a lot of people in this space, for a lack of a better word, would say went woke, as much as I hate that word. And he got kind of cornered in this interview because they had questions about stuff that Candace Cameron Bure, who is their chief content officer, had to say. So we'll get into it. It all kind of goes together with knowing your audience and the backlash that might ensue from not actually catering to the people that pay your bills. So we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about this viral list. It was Tuesday when this list came out, and we saved it for Friday. Where the International Federation of Women came out and decided where you cannot take them on
the
a first date.
International Women's Bureau
Yes.
has convened and
spoken.
made a decision for all of us that you should never take a woman to Cheesecake Factory
And
on a first date.
And I posed the question to
Yeah.
you, the chat, in the poll and said, is the Cheesecake Factory a suitable place for a first date? So far, 84% say yes. Yes, it is.
But have you all tested that theory? Tell us your experiences of Cheesecake Factory dates, please.
And to be fair, we do have like our audience is. I was looking at the metrics. Our audience is 25% women, so that's actually pretty
That's not
good
bad.
in this space, right? So I
We
imagine
talk about Taylor Swift all the time.
that's exactly right. That's we're really pushing for the female demographics here. All right, we got a bunch of stuff to get into. So if you ladies are ready, we will go ahead and get right into it. Mary, are you ready?
I am ready.
Libby, are you ready?
All set.
Let's go ahead and do this then. First things first, ladies and gentlemen, did you know that last night, Five Nights at Freddy's brought in $10.3 million? Does your son play Five Nights at Freddy's?
I don't know.
Is he really into video games?
He is
likes
into
video
video games, and I feel like I have heard Five Nights at Freddy's before.
Okay.
But I don't think it's at the top of the list.
Does he like gaming YouTubers?
He does watch some gaming YouTubers, and a lot of times
Yeah.
I will hear the voices, and I will say, "Turn that off right away." What the hell is that?
Yeah.
and then I make him turn it off.
Honestly, the FNAF
then he goes back to-
craze might have been before his time.
Oh, FNAF! I have heard about FNAF.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then.
So is he into that?
I don't think he's that into it. no.
Okay. Yeah, it's not really. It is a pretty gory movie, given that it's PG-13.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gory.
it shows
it's
someone's
implied.
severed body.
It shows
Not into that
It
stuff.
shows the shadow, the shadow on the wall of a severed.
No, it doesn't. It was
Yes,
the
it does.
actual thing, and then it showed corpses later in the
It showed the
movie.
corpse later. It did not show the severed body. It cut to a shot of the wall.
Last time I checked, he was playing. What was it? Totally Realistic Battle Simulator.
Okay.
I still think like Civilization and Minecraft are the best video games for.
I like Minecraft. I've
Kids.
had he's played Minecraft for years.
Minecraft is really great.
So-
Parents don't know. It's really
yeah, it's actually
educational.
pretty cool.
It made $10.3 million on its Thursday night previews. I do think that's significant because a lot of people believe that this movie getting a PG-13 rating means that it was, in fact, geared towards the younger fans of the movie. But I'm guessing that most young fans aren't going to a movie on a Thursday night, right? Because they have to go to school the next day. So making $10 million when Oppenheimer only made $9 million from Thursday night showings in the summer
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Is actually fairly significant. So we'll have to see. It's already made its money back because just by selling the distribution rights to it, because the movie cost so little to make. I bet you most of that went to Matthew Lillard and Mary Stuart Masterson. But
Well, and the animatronics.
and the animatronics.
Wait, Mary
from,
Stuart Masterson she's
Yes.
in it.
She's an
Yep.
evil aunt.
I loved her when I was a kid.
She's great. She's great in this movie. So it's just should be said that you can go see it right now. We will have a review up for it. We filmed it earlier. It will be up tomorrow in the morning on Saturday. So I want you guys to all check that out. But it's cool because it's got animatronics. And as somebody who grew up loving Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, seeing Jim Henson's Creature Shop get a lot of work is actually really, really cool.
Did you grow
That
up
is
going
cool.
to Chuck E. Cheese?
I
Either
went
of
to
you?
Chuck E. Cheese, yeah, for sure.
I've got this story where, look,
What?
I did, but I'll tell you what, you know when Uber Eats became a thing, you could order from Chuck E. Cheese
Oh,
on
yeah.
Uber Eats? I totally ordered
No.
pizza from
No.
Uber Eats Chuck E. Cheese. It was as average as you can imagine, but the novelty of
With
it
an
was,
orange high C.
there was no IC. But yeah, I ordered a pizza
Ew.
from Chuck E.
It's
Cheese.
like weirdly sweet. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yeah.
Like the tomato sauce feel like it's.
You know what? There's some people who put like grape jelly in their tomato sauce. And they
And-
make it
yeah.
extra sweet. Like there's this place, Lorenzo's on South Street in Philadelphia. And when I finally found out that they put grape jelly like in their sauce, I couldn't eat there anymore.
Yeah.
And like white sugar and spaghetti.
Yeah,
like,
it's
even
really
if you get-
unpleasant.
Even if you get ketchup from various fast food places, you'll notice some of it is sweeter than
It is
other
pretty
places.
sweet,
I
yeah.
don't like McDonald's ketchup for
How do we get on that?
exact
Oh
reason.
yeah, Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese. So
That,
it just
it always freaked me out.
yeah.
The animatronic Chuck E. Cheese.
The animatronics and the mascot guy.
Yeah, I didn't like the
All of
mascot
it.
guy.
It
I
all like
preferred
made me
the-
cry. It
Charles
literally made me cry.
Entertainment Cheese.
Charles Entertainment Cheese. Yes.
That's what it stands for. The E stands for entertainment.
That's amazing.
Yep. All right, go. Okay, so on top of that, it's streaming on Peacock, which unfortunately right now looks like it's losing $565 million in just the last 3 months and is expected to close out the year at a $2.8 billion loss.
That's interesting.
They want to make. I keep hearing these actors talk about revenue sharing and how they want the money from these places, but if you're not actually making a profit.
The Mario movie is also on Peacock, and the
Yes.
Trolls movie.
Yep,
It seems
Comcast
like
Productions, Universal.
any family consumers would want this one.
I recommend Peacock
Panda.
more than almost any of the streaming services other than Hulu. I like Peacock a lot, except for the fact that it does this thing where if you like, I don't know if you guys probably just don't watch a lot of streaming services, but if like you
Don't
let
have it.
something sit in the watch queue for too long, it just erases it,
That's annoying.
which is very, very annoying. Not a fan of that. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind when you think about all these actors who are telling these people that they want to, revenue sharing. They want cuts
They
in
don't
profits.
want loss sharing, though.
No.
Maybe
that's
SAG should actually be taxed for the losses
That's
that
a good
streaming
that's a good
services are
idea.
taking.
That's a good idea. Also, guys, this is good news, I think, for somebody on here. I'm sure somebody here likes Amaranth.
No.
Amaranth is collaborating with a beer company to brew a new flavor using her own vaginal yeast.
Oh, this is just so horrible. This is so gross. This is like
foul.
Do you guys remember a couple years ago there were these women who were like, I'm going to make cheese from my breast milk, and you just wanted to throw up?
They were?
Yes. 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 The human body is not meant to be commodified in quite that way.
At least when Belle Delphine was selling her bathwater, we had the peace of mind that, it wasn't really her bathwater. She was just telling people that.
You think so?
Yeah.
I was just grossed out.
Because people tested the water to try and see if there was anything in it, and it's just water.
It's just water.
I also think of like, what was it recently where the placenta, people put the placenta in food.
Do people sell their placentas?
I know that people take them in capsule form.
People put it in food or they like eat it.
Okay, if it's your
Which
own
is
placenta,
nasty.
that's
still,
one thing.
why?
You don't sell it on the internet.
It reminds me of my friend Katrina, who in first grade said that we only have a limited amount of blood, and so when you cut yourself,
You're running out?
Yeah, you should like lick your blood to get it back.
That's honestly really clever medieval
It was
medicine.
medieval medicine, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But because like your saliva will sort of like what's the word? It's not Neosporin in it, but like it'll like cleanse the wound a little bit.
Sure.
There's a $20 super chat here from Jake Ramirez. Says, took my ex to the Cheesecake Factory for our first date. Too bad we broke up 6 months later. Must be a sign.
I don't think it was the Cheesecake Factory
There you go.
that did it.
6 months later it's a little long to blame it on the cheesecake.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could be having some like epic end of the relationship fight, and then she's just like, "And you took me to the freaking Cheesecake Factory."
And it's like, girl, you came home with me after. Like, what the hell?
Exactly. It's very smart. So it says, then, according to Twitch streamers Polish Brewery, the order of, I'm assuming
Yoni.
it's Yoni, but given that I'm Polish, I should know that, but I don't. So
I thought
sorry.
Yoni was like Japanese or something. Like,
I don't know.
They want a user for a new beer, and it says, I'm actually working with a beverage company. It's not my own. I'm still doing that project. There's a beer company. They're European. They want me to send in my vaginal yeast, the streamer revealed. Wait, so does that mean she has to have like a yeast infection to do that? I have no idea how this works. I'm not a woman.
yeah, I don't know how this is something you harvest.
You can't put
I
it
don't-
in all of the beers.
There's really just not very much of it.
Essence
There's
of
not
amaranth.
enough.
Essence of
Ew.
amaranth. They have to like dilute
This is
it.
Whatever
really
happened to this
horrifying.
woman crying victim about being abused by her husband into being a titty streamer, and then she just continued doing it after saying that she was getting a divorce?
What happened?
She's still with that guy, isn't she?
Probably.
She's still with that. She got divorced. She blamed.
She
said
was
that he
blaming
was-
her husband for like building their empire off of her body, and said that she was in this abusive marriage and was trying to bait all of her simps into sending her money so that she could divorce him, and then never divorced him.
Very, very sad the way they fall for that stuff, right?
That's just so lame.
I just.
It's like no one spoke of it again.
It's maybe what it is it's like a novelty, so it's like they only make, because she can't make enough, it's like a limited run, and then they sell for like insane amounts
Is she
of
going
money.
to like give herself an infection to like make this possible?
Oh, that is so disgusting. And then people are going to drink her infection? Like, why is this? This
I
also
cannot
reminds me
even
of
use the words I want to use right now, but this is
No.
absolutely foul.
really foul.
Guys, I just double
Filthy.
checked. The crisis meter volume to make sure that it's full volume when Libby gets to hear the new crisis meter sound effect.
Oh, no.
She's gonna
Okay.
love it. She's gonna love it, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm-
It's gonna make her a lot of money.
On pins and needles.
Oh,
Here we go.
someone said they would culture it to make more.
Oh, come on.
So they've got like a lab in the back of the brewery. I guess there's a lot of science behind beer brewing, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm just picturing the chemists in the lab coats
Like
doing their
this.
science with the pipettes.
I'm wondering like about the FDA. Like, would they approve something?
How is that
like
okay?
Be like the emergency use authorization for the vaginal yeast beer.
But it's European, so I guess it would have to fall under EU regulations.
Oh, right, and it would
Yeah.
have to be imported.
I don't think they've run into this issue before.
It would be brand new.
Yeah, we need
could just
regulation.
see-
No,
like
somebody in the chat said
is a
this
new
is not the first
frontier.
person who's done this.
But is it
What?
the first person who's done it in a like manufacturing scale?
I don't know. That's crazy. I've been seeing all like there was also a video of some celebrity recently like eating drinking his wife's breast milk
Oh, Jesus God, please.
Ew, why?
on TMZ.
Yeah, I wrote a play once that included somebody who had like a breast milk fetish.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
When was this?
this is my favorite play that I wrote called "I Am Not an Allegory."
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I wrote it in well, it took a while actually, but it was it's really my favorite play. But you had this character in it who was like a little bit obsessed with breast milk, and he sort of goes off on this little tangent, which is sort of what happens in the play a lot. People go off on these little tangents, and his friends just are all looking at him like, "Oh, no." They're just all horrified. And
As
he's
they
like,
should be.
And he's like, "Oh, what?" And they're like, "Oh." And he's
Wait,
like,
where did the
"Okay."
inspiration for that story come from?
For that story? Well, the play actually, I wrote it after I became a mother,
Okay.
and I was sort of like afraid of everything.
Yeah.
And then like that fear of being afraid of everything just started to extend around the child as well. And I was like, that's not good. I can't just be afraid of everything, you know? So I started writing about people that I knew and like being afraid. And I had this theater space where we were in residence called Bowery Poetry Club in New York City, on Bowery near Houston. And it was this great space, and like we would perform plays environmentally. So I used the space and my friends and wrote a play about my friends in the space and like just sort of all the weird things that exist. But the main, like one of the main characters was a new mom, and she was dealing with all of this stuff.
So the character who had the weird obsession with breast milk,
He was single.
is he the sort of son who grows up from having an overbearing, fearful mother?
I don't know what
Maybe.
his background. You know what? A little bit actually. That's funny. His character's name was Lando. He was named after Lando Calrissian, and his mother, when he was a child, had kidnapped him because the father was nuts, and moved out to a beach house for like a full year, and when he was younger, and then bought him a guitar. Anyway, that's
You're
sort of the background of the character.
You're like a crypto art nerd.
Is this
It's a good
published
thing.
anywhere?
It's a
Is this
good thing.
available for purchase?
Yeah.
Several of the monologues were published. The full play wasn't published.
Okay.
But if you want, I mean, I'll give anyone a copy. Every couple of months for the
That's
past
amazing.
several years, like some high school student has reached out to me and been like, "Hey, I saw a monologue from your play in this book. Can I look at the whole play?
Yeah.
Could I produce it at my high school?" And I'm like, "Sure."
That's
I'm going to
amazing.
need you to send me this play.
That's amazing.
It's my favorite. So now I'm nervous, but I will send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, it's
You're just
like-
still trying to process.
How do you feel about? One of my favorite.
It is a
memes-
lot of weird stuff.
One of my favorite memes that I saw this week was it says like, how do you feel about like haunted hay rides and haunted houses? It says like so he says, I refuse to go because I refuse to give a theater nerd that much control, former theater nerds that much power.
Is that
over
who
me.
they are? Or are they just hobbyists?
I don't know. Like I mean,
I
some
think
people
it's
just
a
love how.
I think there's definitely some theater nerds
Yeah.
in the Halloween space.
Absolutely. There's a $20 one here from the ninja from Pop Culture Planet. I got it
You
right
got
that
it.
time. And I couldn't even see the whole thing here. It says, "Hey humans, I'm on chapter 10 of the decline and fall of Earth's Roman Empire. It seems that so far, all of the time, not the world, is a stage on repeat. Also, I love Roberto Jr.'s impression of Ian's impression of Roberto Jr. Yes, well, Libby's going
very
to hear that.
meta.
Libby will hear that eventually because I have what I did is I took the Crisis Party sound effect and and I spliced in a fantastic bit of Ian doing his best impersonation of Roberto Jr., which, of course, if you know Ian, is very theatrical and deep.
Yeah, it should.
So,
Well, it should be.
It's
some
that
people
good.
write plays, and some people create crisis party sounds.
I love it.
Exactly. That's well, it is one of those things where it became like in the early days of the Crisis Party sound effect, when I started changing it, it just became about scaring the crap out of everyone. So I'd be up here on like a Saturday going,
Yes.
as I splice clips together, and it's like, turn the volume up to 30.
I downloaded recently the an audiobook of Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, and I've been listening to it. So
Okay, then I have a question for both of you. Do you listen to audiobooks on 2 times speed?
no.
I don't listen to audiobooks at all because I'm not capable of paying as close attention as I need to.
Reading
I
is
only
an active
listen
process.
to I only listen to audiobooks when I feel like I don't need to pay as active attention as I would
Pleasure
if I
reading.
was reading. Yeah.
I listen
so
to plenty of podcasts.
I do that
Just
too.
not
Yeah.
audiobooks.
Yeah, like for me, I had a phase where I was listening to audiobooks because my job allowed me to do that because I was listening to a lot of podcasts at that time, and I was listening to Annie Jacobson. Annie Jacobs, she wrote the book Arrive, Kill, Vanish, or it was based on the start of the CIA, like
Oh,
the
interesting.
birth of the CIA.
That's
And
an interesting story.
I went back and then like reread it later and realized I missed so because I was working, right? Like
Right.
it's like you catch the gist of it. I'm like, oh, they're talking about Che Guevara. That's kind of interesting. And then I go back and I'm like, whoa, I missed a whole crap ton before that. So I can only listen to an audiobook if it's like a reread of something.
I used to have a job like that too, where I felt like I only needed some of my brain to do my job and the rest would get bored.
Yeah.
And if I didn't entertain the other part of my brain, it would distract the part that was trying to do my job.
Yeah.
And then I would never get anything done.
Yep. Like I almost watch no YouTube now just because my job requires me to stay active, like fully focused all the time. But before, if I was walking, like I was working as like an apartment maintenance supervisor, so I was doing a lot of just general maintenance and fixing stuff, which you can do and still listen to stuff. Here, it's not really the same thing. Your brain's doing it's a lot more muscle memory doing that.
Yeah.
Than doing this. So, all right, guys. Now that we've got the gross stuff out of the way, I don't think there's any more.
We have
gross.
more
Very-
weird
that was so
Freudian
gross, though.
childhood fixations from Fran Drescher.
Yes.
Who uses an emotional support plushie, much like Greta Thunberg does.
Yes.
During this negotiation with the AMPTP during the SAG strike. She's taking this to meetings, I assume?
Yes, that's what
Placing
it says.
it on the table among other adults?
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to like put Bob Iger, gazillionaire Bob Iger, off his game to like see like the woman with the stuffed animal there, and I'm assuming it's also supposed to be some
no.
type of covert like thumb in the nose to the boys club, like I'm a woman and I can do this however I want to
Really?
do this. Yeah, I see it that way.
By having a stuffed animal?
On the table while you're actually negotiating with
She
for
might
contracts
think
worth hundreds
that,
of
but it
millions of
just
dollars.
makes everyone think she's an adult child.
Yeah. Like, I mean, imagine you're
Or just
sitting-
a little bit daft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine that you're sitting there with the head of a company as big as Disney, and you put a stuffed plushie on the table. To me, I feel like there's
It doesn't
there's a lack of
exactly
decorum
command
there.
the room. It doesn't exactly.
What if it's Teddy Ruxpin and you have it like set up and it's going
It has to be
deliver
a
everything
special
for you?
circumstance.
Right.
It says she spoke of the doll on X on Wednesday and said, "I don't have to emulate a masculine energy to be a good leader," she said in defending the doll. "I can be smart and have a keen ability to see integral flaws in a business model and put a tiny heart-shaped plush toy between me and Bob Iger. It's so cutesy. It's so slice of life. It's so articleable."
I need to ask Bob Iger what he
Articleable.
thinks.
I like that.
It's imagine there is something to be said, right, about decorum in a situation like that. Like he's sitting there in his expensive suit, which whether you like him or not, he's negotiating for hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in contracts. And he's like, look, I need to know that you're taking this seriously.
See, that's what I never appreciated about the fact that Mark Zuckerberg walks around in the jeans, flip-flops, t-shirt uniform. Is it's more arrogant than dressing up in the
is.
expensive suit, because dressing up in the expensive suit shows respect to other people, not yourself.
You're right. It is far more arrogant, and it's a little more intimidating. I mean, if you're sitting there properly dressed, and this man walks in, and you can like see his toe fungus, and he's yelling at you, or like telling you that you're not doing a good job, or even praising you, then that's like a little much.
In general, flip-flops on a man, that gives me the ick.
Really, it's really only at the beach. And even then, like, just go with the soccer sandals if that's what we're doing. You know?
Yeah.
I don't wear
Agreed.
either. I don't own any. I wear moccasins if I have to go somewhere without.
However, I do think toe cleavage is going to be in for 2024.
I'm over toe cleavage. Fully.
What
Really?
the
Yeah.
f- is toe cleavage?
It's where you can see your toe. It's
When
like
you
a
wear
little
like
peep show.
closed-toed
Yeah.
shoes, but they show the beginnings of your toes.
Or like the peep show. The peep, there's like a little cutout.
I'm not into the.
I don't like that
into
either.
that.
We need to
but
get
the toe
Ron
cleavage,
DeSantis
I
on
like.
this because nobody can see Ron DeSantis' toes because he's wearing high heels all the time.
That's a pretty crazy thing.
The ninja from Popcorn from Pop Culture Planet.
Not popcorn.
Yes, I caught it. The second this is a good audiobook to me is like War of the Worlds on radio. Jim Dale has an individual voice for every Harry Potter character.
That's
Michael-
true. Jim Dale is great.
He did the American version of it, and I love that version.
it.
But I do love the Stephen Fry one. I've heard both.
I only listened to the Jim Dale one because my mom was obsessed with it for a while. And
He's
so
great.
anytime I would get in the car, it would be like Harry Potter, Jim Dale.
Yeah, he's great. He goes on. He says Michael Kramer and Kate Reading are the same
Under Tor Publishing.
I think you need a good actor. Also, James Marsters does the voice of the Dresden Files. The book's The Dresden Files
Oh,
of Harry
interesting.
Dresden. James Marsters he's played Spike on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The Dresden Files. Wait, isn't that? It's like a mystery show.
It had like one season, like 2007, but it's a pretty popular book series based. He's a wizard private investigator.
Yeah, I feel like I liked that.
It was good.
When I saw it.
Good.
Yeah.
And James Marsters does really, really good work on that.
I
So
could listen to Brittany's memoir on audiobook.
I feel like that would be that's an
yeah.
acceptable use of an audiobook.
it wasn't her. It was
not her voice. It was somebody
it was
else.
what's her name?
If it was her voice, that'd be harder.
harder.
No, who was it though?
It's a famous actress, but I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
off
I
the
don't
top of it.
remember.
It's Catherine. I forget. Sarah read it. Not me.
Okay,
I did not
this
read
I wanted to know your opinion on, Libby, specifically. Vanessa Hudgens has thrown a bachelorette party for herself that was funeral themed to mourn her single life.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? And what does it say about her view on marriage?
Yeah, it is kind of weird, right? I was looking at that. I don't know if you're feeling like it's a funeral for your life, then are you really looking forward to your marriage?
I believe I see a balloon here that resembles a ball and chain, but maybe I'm imagining that.
Yeah, I'm not super in favor of this. I feel like
Michelle Williams.
maybe you should be looking forward to your married life as opposed to mourning the loss of your singlehood. Also, she's 34. Like, hasn't she had a good run? That's a while.
Right. Like, you should use your single years to the fullest and celebrate being married.
Right. And also, like really? Like a funeral?
It
What
just
is
doesn't-
what is her intended thing of that? Maybe it's a
Yeah.
joke. It looks like maybe it's just an Instagram stunt.
What does he think of that?
But at the same time, it does seem a little bonkers that what you're doing when you're going into your bachelorette party is mourning. I guess it's better than the things that you see where people are like doing their bachelorette party with a bunch of strippers and then like having sex with people before they get married. That seems worse.
yeah, that's way worse.
But think
That
about-
seems worse. Yeah.
Think about when we covered the stripper who revealed the lady who was like cheating on
that's
her boyfriend.
right. Yeah.
And she said like she was here celebrating her last days of freedom or something like that.
by like banging a bunch of dudes
Yeah.
or whatever.
There was some baby shower that was stripper themed that we talked about.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, it
Confusing.
was
some celebrity's relative.
it wasn't
a
a Kardashian, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that was tacky too.
That's also worse
It
just
was like,
because it involves a child, whether the child is born yet or not.
I can't remember that name off the top of my head, but there was a lot of famous celebrities there who showed up to it.
There's just no class anymore, no decorum.
Yeah, it's not a classy move to have a funeral for your singlehood when you're getting married to who is presumably the love of your life. You know, that's in poor taste.
I would
for sure.
assume they
I
don't
do
think
like
about
the
it that
bridesmaid dresses though.
yeah. I would assume that they don't think about it that deeply. Like we're putting more significance on it than
I mean,
they
I'm
are.
not always in favor of all the traditions. Like, I don't plan on wearing a white wedding dress.
Really?
Really?
I plan on having a black wedding dress or a
think
gray
black?
wedding dress.
Not
and
red?
having, I mean, I think it would be kind of cool to have white dresses on the bridesmaids also. I know that is a tradition a lot of people think is really important, but in an age where all the rest of the really important traditions are thrown in the trash. I feel like that's one of the least important ones. Is the color of your dress.
I had really wanted to wear a not wedding dress when I got married. Like that was my intention. I was looking at cocktail dresses. I was looking at all kinds of other dresses that
Different
were
lengths,
like different
but still
lengths.
white?
No, not white. I was
Okay.
looking at something that was sort of like a, you know, that sort of grayish silver color. It was a little shiny. It was like a nice silk fabric. But in the end, I ended up in an ivory, in an ivory silk Dior gown.
I just don't think it's that important for the dress to be white.
The most important part is that you feel good and like you feel like you look good.
Yeah.
Vertical stripes. Beetlejuice.
Nah.
That's what my friend Valerie said when I got married. You know, you do like wedding videos. And my friend Valerie was being asked, you know, by the very serious videographer, like, oh, is there anything you want to tell them on their wedding day? And she goes, she was drunk. And she goes, I just want Libby to know that she looks good. And we all know that's really the only thing that matters.
I know that wedding videographers and photographers make bank these days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows at least one of them, and they always do well.
This was a gift. Like this was a gift from the best man's father, who was a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker.
I have two friends who both went to school for different things, but like a lot of people that skate end up doing videography anyways because it's part of the culture.
Right.
And both of them got together and now run a very successful wedding videography and photography business. And that's just because in Minnesota, that's like 6 months out of the year.
Right.
7 months, 8 months if you count like fall and spring weddings, which are less than the summer
You start
weddings.
with like May and you just go straight through to October.
And then the rest of the year, they do corporate training videos for companies. Like Target's based out of Minnesota. So like there's a lot of companies like Articat and stuff like that all have Midwestern headquarters that do a lot of like their safety training or their, you know, for like different departments that get updated because like now corporate structure is so it's so redundant that they have to make like new training videos every few years, which is why one of my favorite guilty pleasures to watch online is old like 80s training videos and seeing the bad acting.
Have you seen like on Red Letter Media, they sometimes pull videos like that,
I love
and
it.
it's so funny.
The ones that detail like 80s videos detailing sexual harassment.
Those are the best ones.
They're the funniest thing you'll ever see in your entire life. It's like the harassment may be verbal, and then they're like, and it's like, and it doesn't
He
just
calls
have to
you
be
toots in your
basically.
cubicle.
And he doesn't just
and
have
you're
to be a
not
guy.
Dustin Hoffman or whatever.
If he's ugly, it's harassment.
Hello, HR.
Also, you found this when you said they threw a funeral birthday party.
Yeah. How old was this one turning?
This says R.I.P. to 27.
27 club themed
I guess.
birthday party.
I guess.
A little bit dark, but not as bad as a bachelorette party themed after your funeral.
Makes
right?
me think of that scene. There was this episode of the show Arrow where Oliver Queen throws a jail party because he's on trial because he's a rich playboy billionaire who
Okay,
needs
that's
to,
kind of funny.
And then like John Diggle, his bodyguard, comes in and just looks around and it's a bunch of people wearing like a bunch of like prison get-ups. He goes, white people.
But also, she's wearing black in her coffin. Most people don't wear black in
Nor do they wear
in their
sheer
coffin.
gowns that show off their underwear.
Yeah, that's true.
Just saying.
I really don't like the sheer trend on runways and award shows right now where you're
I don't like
basically
it
wearing
either.
no clothes. It's just
I'm the lone holdout here. I'm completely fine with the sheer outfits on the ladies. That's completely fine with me. Shocking.
the debates about like what should women wear at the gym are so redundant because no one is recognizing that, you know, people still wore tight things to the gym in the 80s. It's just that everyone looked better back then.
The funny part is the one where it's like the woman, she's like, I wear a big sweatshirt to the gym so that nobody will stare at me, and then she turns around and it's tucked in the back.
Right. Yeah.
All right, guys. Oh yeah, did you know that Arnie thinks he would make a great president?
Everyone knows this because he won't shut up
Yes,
about how
he keeps
great of
talking
a
about
president
it.
he would be. Is he just hoping that they'll rewrite the rules for him eventually if he keeps talking about it?
This is the guy who just like a year and a half ago said, screw your freedoms. You shouldn't be allowed to do whatever you want because of COVID and you're gonna kill grandma, basically. Right? He won't shut up about it.
But at the same time thinks that Gen Z is too fragile.
Yes.
I don't want to hear it.
Arnie's Arnie. I'll always love Arnie as an actor. I'll never have a problem with Arnold. I'm gonna watch Terminator 2 tonight after I watch Into the Panderverse from South Park.
But I was wondering about the Panderverse. I was thinking of watching that myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Paramount Plus.
Are all South Park episodes this big of a deal?
No, this is like a special.
This seems like a special thing. But I would not vote for Arnold Schwarzenegger for president. I mean, isn't he also not born here?
No, he's from Austria.
Exactly.
So that matters, doesn't it?
Yes.
He can't
I heard
he can't be president.
I heard Cenk on Culture Wars today with Tim talking about how the 14th Amendment overturns the concept that you have to be born in the United States to be president, but I literally don't see it at all. So I'll just go out there and say
I don't think that anyone not born in this country should run for any public office.
they definitely should not be president. But that
Or
would
dual citizenship too.
That
No.
would rid us of Ilhan Omar for sure. That would be a bonus.
That would be a good thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't too young, but I wasn't politically active when he was governor, so I don't really know much about his policies. I know that he's he's the definition of a rhino, being Republican in name only, and that is a small miracle for even a rhino to become governor of a state like California.
Well,
Granted,
California used to be pretty
ago.
Republican.
Yeah,
I mean, they launched Reagan
in the 80s.
In the 80s.
The 70s.
Whenever it was.
Isn't it true though that like a lot of the outskirts of California are still red, but it's the big cities, it's your Hollywood and your in Silicon Valley.
That's true of a lot of the country, I think, isn't
Minnesota's like that. Like a lot of like the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul are both very much
very blue.
But then you go to the outskirts of the suburbs where a lot of these people, there's a lot of farmland out there. There's a lot of big suburban communities and stuff like that from people who make a lot of money and don't want to be taxed, out the end. And I think that's true. We talked about on Tuesday on IRL, like the consequences of like all the people who start to densely populate in one area, and it changes how the voting demographics of whole states.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah,
Really
like
does.
if I was the Dems, I wouldn't even worry about changing votes. I would just start building huge cities in the middle of every state. Like just drop a huge city in the middle of any red state, and then people will eventually start to, especially with remote working becoming such a big thing
that was like Brasilia, right? If you build Brasilia, then it will get populated, and I don't think that happened.
We could do it somehow.
We could do it somehow.
I have no idea.
There was a big push in the architectural and engineering communities and like the future thinkers communities to create more cities and to build and like define the 2050 city, and it would be fully sustainable. It would be net zero. It would have, composting toilets or living machines. It would have like all of this stuff, like entire everything you need would be in one skyscraper.
Yeah.
You would never have to leave the skyscraper. All of this kind of stuff. And I remember originally looking at that and being like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. And now it just seems like total hell.
It's dystopian because I know this girl who lives in the Bronx in a very bad area, but she lives in this nice apartment building that you basically don't have to leave if you work from home because it has every facility you could possibly
Her gym
need
is in
inside
there.
the building. A gym, movie theater, Starbucks,
a
everything.
movie theater.
Wow.
What the hell?
I mean, that's
Where was
relatively
this?
common for like high-end apartment buildings that have like a movie theater in it, not like a full-blown one, but like ones that you can rent out or reserve for yourself. But yeah, it's because it's so dangerous to leave the apartment building that you need that.
Yeah, it is. The Bronx is not somewhere I would choose to live based on the amount of crime that exists
But it's
in
like
the Bronx.
for people that need to commute to the city for
Sure.
their jobs or
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who work from home. That's the situation that you have to live in.
Well, working from home, I would never pay New York City taxes and work from home. That's partially why I left. I was like, I don't need to commute anywhere. I'm just in my apartment. What's the point of this? And why am I funding abortions?
Does that
Right.
end up affecting how companies pay these people now? Because like, imagine you get a job working
Probably.
for like making New York City money, but you're working remote. So like, do they adjust your like how much you're paid based on where you live, or
I have
is it
no
based
idea.
on? That would be interesting to figure out how companies are doing that right now.
I didn't have my job with Post Millennial was always going to be remote just because I was an American in New York and the company was in Montreal. But then after COVID, like everybody ended up remote. So,
A lot of people are willing to take a lower pay for the ability to work from home. at this point.
Did you guys see that lady who freaked out? She was like, I just got my first job after college.
Yeah, they talked about that while I was
talked about
gone.
it. Yeah. Look, by the time it was done, Sarah was filling in for Mary, and at first I'm like, oh, this loser. She's like that, and Sarah's like, look, she's a woman. She's on a 28-day cycle. It's her first job. By the time Sarah was done explaining it, I was like, look, it is true. It's like her first day for her first 9-to-5 job. She's overwhelmed.
Was it her first day?
I don't think it was her first
I don't know.
day.
She said it was her,
I
said,
saw
I just
this
got done with
tweet.
my first day.
I saw this tweet that I liked that described the situation. Conservatives, women in the workplace is unnatural. They should be married and full-time mothers instead. Women, 9-to-5 office job feels unnatural. What's going on here? Why do I hate it so much? Conservatives, shut the F up. That's what it is.
You go to war. You go to war with the situation you're in, right? So the argument that they would be making wouldn't make sense if women weren't working, but they are. So we still live in the liberal society with all of the rights and freedoms that affords you. So you have to play by those rules.
Well, it makes sense to make different choices. Like if you don't like that choice, you can make a different choice. You don't have to.
There's
do
just
that.
no one really swooping into her situation and telling you, well, there is this other option.
She'll yell at you. If you tell her, like, well, you could get married and have kids, she would be like, that's oppressive. I don't want to. Then I have no freedom.
Well, one of her other complaints was it's like, how am I going to date or find a husband when I don't have
That is actually a very good
life?
argument. But like it used to be that you would find people to go out with and marry in school or in the workplace, and now like
Yeah.
you're
Now
not
because of
supposed to
the
ever talk to anybody
looming
in the workplace.
HR rep
Right.
over everyone's shoulder.
He might call you
can't even
toots,
do that,
and then it's all over.
There was a great meme of like, it says like the Babylon Bee had one that just came out yesterday. It was like, corporate woman daydreams about amazing job that would let her do the things she loves, like sewing, cooking, and hanging out with her kids.
Makes you think.
It does make you wonder. Speaking of having kids and beautiful women, Tiffany Gomez is back in the news. She's not having kids. That part of it was a lie, but I would have kids with her.
She's hosting a giveaway contest for Halloween costumes of what she was wearing when she had her public meltdown.
I love it.
Way to have a good sense of humor about it.
Monetize it. Here we go. Let's listen to this video from Tiffany.
Hey guys, once again, New York Post came for me, so now I am coming for you. Let's have a little fun with it. I want to see your best rendition of this fit, and then I will choose 3 of my favorite lookalikes, and then we will all choose a winner, and the winner will then receive 2 first-class tickets either on Delta, United, or Priority Passes on Southwest. So show me what you've got. Happy Halloween. Hey
But where are you
guys,
going to go?
Where it's local.
Still
like,
gotta pay for the rest of the trip.
yeah.
And where do you go? Where is she taking you?
To Colorado. Where was she when this happened? She was
Wasn't she in Texas?
She's in Texas.
Dallas, Fort Worth.
But she was going to Colorado or something like that. I thought I could be.
If she were in the Denver airport that has so many conspiracy theories surrounding it at the same
Right.
time as the meltdown, that would have been perfect. But I don't think there's anything really sketchy about the Denver airport. I've been there many times and I just never felt weird vibes from it.
My favorite part is she's so normie. She's not super, like, she's doing a video that an influencer
You're
makes.
made for each other, Brett.
She's making a video that like an influencer makes, but she looks like she's reading off a cue card. She's kind of stiff, like she doesn't talk on camera that much. I'm here for it. It would be more unnerving if she was more authentic.
She never explained why she was doing the Baphomet thing. The Baphomet pose.
Baphomet pose.
With her 2 fingers pointing up and down when she was in the video.
Maybe she didn't know that that's what it was.
It's weird though.
Once
Right?
again, New York Post came for me, so now I am coming for you.
She just looks like she doesn't talk on camera that much, and as somebody,
She doesn't.
Like, part of our job is talking about people that always look like they're on camera and are very good about like faking authenticity. It's more authentic that she seems rigid, like she's never done this before. She's like, "Is the red light on?"
Gen Z is better at talking on camera than they're at talking to drive-through workers or
Yep.
you
Or
know,
calling for a pizza.
Yeah.
They can't do that. They're very bad at that. All right. What would you ladies like to see? Cute or cringe of the day?
What do you say, Libby?
I would say cringe, I think.
All right, let's cringe.
Let's start with cringe. I sent this one to Mary yesterday. Watch this, guys.
You guys in a relationship?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Okay. Well,
You say yeah, you say no.
We are not in a relationship. No.
Okay, I guess we're not.
Miscommunication here.
No. perfect communication. He's actually just an acquaintance. I only recently met him 2 weeks ago.
It was love at first sight, but she's shy. She needs time to build into it. That's what I think.
No, I don't.
Why does the friend zone exist?
For losers who are meant to be there.
Would you say he's in the friend zone?
Yes, I do have a boyfriend.
Oh, you do have a
Yes,
boyfriend.
not him.
Just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score, right?
You guys in a relationship?
I switched my opinion on this because isn't her boyfriend the loser if his girlfriend is hanging out with some other guy? Thank you.
That's Roberto Jr. I didn't know maybe you were on that episode with Ian when he was doing on IRL when he was doing a very extended, prolonged Roberto Jr. impression.
I don't recall that.
Somebody sent it to me and I blew my eardrums out when I played it. It was one of the rare times where I had headphone in my good ear because I always have my headphones in my right ear, which I can't hear out of. And I put it in and I clicked the link and it goes, oh! And I'm like, oh my goodness. Threw the headphone off across the room. Oh, yeah. Okay. So to your point.
Both the friend-zoned guy and the boyfriend are losing in this situation because neither of them actually have her.
I think this is
true.
I think it's staged.
You do?
I do.
A lot of street interviews are, but I don't know. Situations like this do happen.
If I was that interviewer, he should be giddy from the miscommunication. A street interviewer hears this and he's like, this is going to be so awesome.
Is he openly open about it, or is he able to control his glee?
Then he's good at faking it.
I think probably he's able to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
He's like, oh, there's some miscommunication here. He's already thinking about how he's going to edit this later and just make this guy look like the worst of the worst.
I don't think this guy comes off looking bad.
He's
the jacket guy, the green guy. I don't think he comes off looking bad.
The boyfriend looks awful in this.
This guy comes off looking confident and like he knows what he wants.
He's got the part where he says we met 2 weeks ago, and then the part he's
she's just trying to accept that we're dating now.
Yeah. Plus he loses in the power dynamic here because they're talking to her and he doesn't really have anything to say. He actually deflects fairly well.
There's also a question of what the context is. If they're at school and they are going to the same class or something, then it makes sense that they're hanging out and walking together.
She's wearing a college hoodie.
Yeah, but if that's not the situation, then why is she hanging out with this guy who thinks that they're in a relationship when she has a boyfriend?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Answer that question, ladies. Why is she doing
Pretty rude to call him a loser right there to his face.
Yeah, also it's like she immediately has more intimacy and connection with the guy who's interviewing her on camera than with any other man in her life at all. It's like what you were saying about Gen Z is better at talking to the camera than they are at talking to each other.
Yeah.
Also, the reason I think it's fake is because her demeanor changes when she says the degrading stuff, almost as if it was from a different question. So if it wasn't if it wasn't staged, then it was chopped up expertly to make this guy look even worse.
It was just I don't think he looks bad though.
No, I'm saying, but they think he does.
Oh,
so the idea is that they chop it up to make it seem like she said these awful things right in front of him, and he didn't say anything in return, which makes him look bad.
First sight, but she's shy. She needs time to build into it. That's what I think.
No, I don't.
Why does the friend zone exist?
For losers.
Right there, the volume is louder. I feel like it's at a different part of the interview.
When he
meant
says,
to be there.
When right here, if you listen to her before this, and then you hear this part.
Maybe you're too skeptical.
Why does
I'm skeptical of everything.
friend zone exist?
For losers who are meant to be there.
Would you say he's in the friend zone?
Yes, I do have a boyfriend.
Oh, you do have a
Yes,
boyfriend.
not him.
There's very likely questions in there are you walking to school together? Are you walking to class together right now? Like you said, right? It's cut up to make him look
Or she was walking to class and then he ran up behind her and was like, hey!
maybe it was staged with the guy. Maybe the guy staged with the other guy.
It was very cringe. All right, let's go ahead and check out Cute of the Day, ladies and gentlemen. We got a couple here. First from Lindsay Tatum says, Happy Halloween from Sunny, gone but not forgotten. Always had a great costume for Halloween because his mom's B-Day is today. Me! That was yesterday, so happy belated birthday, Lindsay. And Halloween is fun for everybody. Look at that.
Hawaiian
that is
tourist,
cute.
I assume?
Wait, does that make him like an honorary Boogaloo boy? No?
I don't know.
Very festive.
Oh, look at the kitty in there too. Very cute. All right.
Cute.
Let's do one more here. This is from Healing with Dominique. Says, Mary has a fan. No thumbs up, no thumbs, but a fan. She's shushing us. So she's telling everybody to be quiet. She's listening to Mary right now.
I love it.
That is very cute.
That's
Very
my favorite fan.
All right,
Fan
guys,
pod.
let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? So, big news broke today, right as we are about to go live. It looks as though Disney is going to delay the release of Snow White. It's not even called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's just called Snow White, right?
In all caps.
Yes.
So you know they're serious.
So Disney is delaying Snow White over a year until 2025. What do you think, ladies?
A whole year,
A whole
though,
year.
because with the strike delaying production, that doesn't make sense with the timeline, and it also gives the Daily Wire more room to change their release date to be in the same month as Disney's version of it. So I don't know. You're just giving Rachel Zegler more time to ruin the PR for this movie once the strike is over.
It moves from March 22nd, 2024 to March 21st, 2025. That's a long way.
Yeah.
Like, what episode of PCC will we be on in March of 2025?
I feel like Rachel Zegler would do best to just get this movie out as soon as possible and put it all behind her. But this has been an entire era of her life. She was cast as Snow White when she was 17, and she's like, what, 22 now?
Yep.
This is going to be like her entire young adulthood, basically, dedicated to this movie that's been terrible for her image. All
and
thanks
that
to
isn't
her,
even
of
coming
course.
out. Yeah, all thanks to her. She's the one who made the entire. Well, her and whoever decided that only one dwarf should get the opportunity to earn a paycheck off this film.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's not absolve Gal Gadot either, because she was just as insufferable in those interviews,
Yes,
talking
she
about
was.
how we don't need a prince, and his scenes might get cut entirely. Maybe that's why they're delaying it. They're reshooting the whole thing to
Oh.
get rid of the prince.
They're just getting rid of it entirely. Well,
Well, they might. That's at least what Rachel Zegler said. Is he's so irrelevant to the story, and this is such a non-love story. It's so wonderful that his scenes might get cut entirely because love doesn't matter.
there was a, you guys probably saw it, Teens and Screens, a report came out this
Yep.
week. And apparently Gen Z doesn't want to see any romance on the big screen
Well,
or
the
the little
headline
screen.
made it seem more like they're uncomfortable with sex scenes, and that makes sense to me just because the amount of sex scenes in shows directed at Gen Z is so beyond the pale, like over the top.
It's a little much.
I don't buy
It's
that.
too
I don't buy
much.
that Euphoria is. I think Euphoria is for millennials. And
I
not
believe
Gen Z.
they do want romance just the same way that teens who liked Twilight want
The-
romance.
the-
But the
the-
sex scenes are just insane, like distracting from the storylines.
The study cited the fact that they didn't care as much just about regular individual romance. What they want to showcase relationships of all spectrums, because they said they want to see more stuff involving people that are asexual or aromantic,
Or aromantic, yeah.
which sounded like aromatic to me when I first read
Aromatic.
it. Right?
What seems strange to me is that stories and entertainments used to be a way that you could see examples of what you could live up to. Aspirational, that would be a big part of it. Showing us traditional stories, traditional archetypes, things like that. And now the idea is that if what you're seeing on screen doesn't mirror your life, there's something wrong with on screen instead of maybe something wrong with
That
your
was
life.
another part of the study. There
That's
was
a
another
weird
part of the
thing
study.
too. Yeah, because I was looking at that, and I found that to be very bizarre. Like I can see things on screen that I think are authentic, even though they don't mirror my exact experience.
Yeah, maybe Gen Z would feel repelled by romance storylines and sex scenes because they don't experience romance or sex
Right.
as much as previous generations.
Well, yeah, there's
That's a thing. Like we've seen those studies as well.
They reference an epidemic of loneliness that's going on in the younger generations right now. Also, they're just beaten down constantly by fear porn, and they're constantly on edge in a
There's
way
a lot
that
of,
previous
like,
generations
yeah.
weren't. It says 51.5% want to see more content focused on friendships and platonic relationships, with 39% saying they particularly want to see more aromantic or asexual characters on screen. A near majority of those felt that romance in media is overused.
That's ironic since they're the generation that ships characters that are supposed to have platonic friendships all the time, especially male friendships.
They love the shipping back then. Granted, I'm sure those aren't the people. Also, no 10-year-old is answering this. It's like, yes, I would like to see more sex on screen. That's
of course not.
Well, but they didn't. It said that they didn't ask the question of 10-year-olds. They asked it over 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, even then, like the 13-year-olds, I guess the 13-year-olds might, but a lot of it just seems to be that the form of media is changing because the relationships between young people are changing. And I do think it goes back. I think the point I made when we were talking about it is that it was aspirational back then to look at these types of stories and be like, I would like to have a fairy tale ending like that for at least for the women that were watching the romantic comedies or were watching the Disney princess movies, and then the reality now of the relationship between the relationships between the sexes has kind of come crashing down on its head, and they're bombarded by things on the internet that pit the sexes against each other. I think there's a lot of negative feelings there amongst the genders that just make it harder for people to look at this type of entertainment and think about it as something that's plausible.
Right. I think that's true too. And no one wants to talk to each other. Everyone's just freaked out by talking to each other.
And now you can't even go watch. The other thing that bugged me about what they said, to get back to what they were saying about Snow White, was when they're saying like the movie's dated because it has a romantic storyline. I said, why? Do people not get married and fall in love anymore?
No one falls in love anymore.
Like, is that not a thing anymore?
We're all supposed to marry ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? It's today's society is to narcissism. They even talk about how the point of the story for her is to find her power in being a leader, without realizing that that's not what most of us go out into the world to do.
Also, that's entirely untrue. Since I rewatched the animated version recently, or actually, I think that was the first time I watched it ever because I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid. I realized that Snow White, the character, is intensely focused on getting Grumpy to like her.
Yes, she's really
she wants outside affirmation and dreams of falling in love and tells them about it. She prays. There's a scene where she is actually at her bedside praying that Grumpy will like her. That's not really the fearless ball buster that Rachel Zegler's Snow White is going to be.
Rachel Zegler also said something about how Snow White's father encouraged her to go be powerful. And so I did the same thing. I did a rewatch of the original because I watched it when I was a kid. And then I went back into the, the Grimms, and I read that. There's no father in this. There was a father in Beauty and the Beast.
Her father is not.
But the father was really not in the movie. I mean, she's being raised by her evil stepmother. Lots of us can totally relate to that. And that's the story, she doesn't even have the stepsisters like in, the blonde
Cinderella.
Cinderella, yeah.
The other thing they talk about not wanting in these movies these days is like love triangles, which was a staple of the young adult genre that was so popular in the early 2010s.
Oh, sure.
But also I think that for a story like Snow White, for these types of intricate stories, it's a lot of times today, I think the youth see the idea of falling in love as kind of simultaneously both naive and for the women, a surrendering of your power and free will, because of the way they've been propagandized to think of marriage as
that's total
a surrendering of your autonomy, right? So it seems naive to them to fall in love. And to be fair, that could be our parents and our parents' generation's fault for the divorce rate being so high and being so few good examples of long-lasting relationships. Society and art mirror what we see in the world. So
even for a lot of the Gen Zers that weren't raised as children of divorce, they make content saying, my parents are still married, but it would be better for both of them if they got divorced.
And
my son told me yesterday there was an issue, and he said, well, I actually think it's you and Dad's fault because blah blah blah. And I really tried to not crack up laughing because he's a very serious person and I take what he says very seriously. But when we finally got to the point that I have literally been dreading for a very long time, the point where everything that's wrong is actually, it turns out, my fault.
Hate it when that happens.
I really wanted to laugh, but I took it seriously, and I took the criticism to heart, frankly.
Our generation, my generation, grew up on a lot of movies that were highly critical of the unhappy suburban home.
Oh, right. Well, that's been around for a long time. Remember Stepford Wives? That was like a whole thing. They were sort of like weird animatronic robot type
We're
things.
seeing the
they were like the Chuck E. Cheeses of wives.
We're seeing the next step of those stories, right? Is that there's a growing cynicism about the idea of human connection, I think. for these
Right.
movies. So in a way, she's not wrong that the story doesn't necessarily fit today's values, but that doesn't mean you change the story. It means you write a different story and make that story the one that represent what you believe today's culture actually mirrors.
Yeah, why can't anyone just write their own script?
Yeah.
Why is it always like remaking some other script?
I can actually tell you why that is, because
Okay.
they'll never green light that these days. It has to have
Oh,
built-in intellectual
At least
property
Disney
value.
won't.
Disney
If
won't.
you want to independently make a movie, then you're perfectly free to do so.
The
But
studios
you
won't
won't
give you the
get
money.
Yeah, you won't get the money that you want for it.
Then
Look
why
at-
isn't Daily Wire making their own script?
Well,
Well-
they're doing it. Well, think
Are
about
they
it.
like
Because
is this
this
a direct
belongs
reaction?
to public domain, they have the ability to make their own Snow White.
And it has
That's not the
built-in
case for a lot of
advertising.
the different Disney adaptations
Interesting.
that are newer.
And it comes with built-in advertising because they get to play it off of Disney, which is a huge
that
market.
makes sense.
Right.
And that's like their bread and butter is like, here's the woke thing, and then here's us.
That's why this delay actually benefits Daily Wire.
Yeah.
They probably know that, right?
I guess so. It'll be interesting to see if they actually end up releasing at the same time. It's not like they will battle each other in the theaters. The Daily Wire one is going to come out on the
Yeah.
Daily Wire streaming service.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll change plans. It's
would
too
be-
early to say.
It would be interesting to see if they could get like Fathom Events to host like some like a limited release of the film,
Something like that.
at some studios. But I do think it sucks that these days the idea of the romantic story has to be something that is scoffed at. I don't see anything wrong with aspirational entertainment that doesn't actually represent what the culture is. When I watch most movies, I'm not looking for when I watch a Batman movie, I don't think that it actually represents the culture we live in, though I guess some areas of Chicago might actually look a little bit like Gotham. But in general, that's funny too, because they were filmed in the last few were filmed in Chicago, so that makes perfect sense. But it's like they always reference this point where they say it's not in line, it doesn't represent what the culture is now. I said, but classic stories have an audience for a reason, right? Because they stand the test of time. That's actually good that it doesn't represent today's values, because it's not
Today's
supposed
values suck.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
why.
that's true. That's
like
true.
And television was better even 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You saw more normality than you do in what you see in the stuff that comes out these days. It's like what was I watching recently where I was actually shocked because they did a storyline. Oh yeah, it was an old episode of the show White Collar where they and it's funny because Tim was bringing up Myanmar and Burma, and it was this episode where like there's a U.S. Who's been captured in Myanmar, and they're working to get him released through diplomatic channels. I was like, I don't even know if they would do that story now because it would be seen as racist, or it would be seen as Americans policing the world or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
And that was 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago when that episode actually came out. And it just feels like the culture has shifted so quickly that it doesn't know where to go. So it doesn't know what stories to tell, because what you tell now, if you tell a story based on the culture of today, it will be unacceptable in 3 years at the most.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
There was an interesting thing where there was this woman wearing hijab in a video talking about how women should go along with polygamy. And, you know, this is, of course, pretty anti-conservative for a view, I think. But also, it struck me that it's actually a very left-wing view, that polygamy, because they're already on board with polyamory, like it's sort of the same thing.
That's the next, civil
next thing
rights
is-
battle in
yeah.
their mind.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Where is she from?
Where was she from?
Yeah.
I don't know. She did not have a very distinctive accent, if I recall.
Okay.
It's like when Mary used the term polycule. I was so much happier before I ever knew it.
Me too, because that reminds me of like cuticles, and then I think then I think of fingernails, and then I think it just seems very gross, like
Yeah.
once you put all of those things together.
And make no mistake, what you're describing there, when they say they want to see the broad spectrum of relationships between humans, when they say asexual and when they say aromantic, that doesn't mean they only want to see that. That means there's also the kids who are going to be like, well, I heard that polyamory is big now. That will end up in stories because that'll be right up Hollywood's alley to put that in
but
stories.
unlike how it is in reality, they'll pick hot people to become polycules.
You never see hot people in those pictures. It's always like one really giant lady and then like 3 trans guys wearing weird wigs or with like green hair but like the roots grown out.
Yeah.
Somebody has a baby and then one guy who's like, I guess I have the job. I don't really know.
They did an episode of the show Elementary, the one with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu, where it was like a polyamorous.
That show did not work.
I loved it.
I did not like it.
I loved it. Granted, I love the Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch as well, and I love the old stories. But I'm a big sucker for police procedurals.
Okay.
So seeing them work a lot of those.
Did you
Easter
like
eggs,
the Basil Rathbones? Did you ever watch the Basil Rathbone
Yes.
Sherlocks?
Yeah.
Because those are pretty wild.
Those and all of those are vastly different too.
Yes,
That's
they're
what's
so
cool about it
different.
is
That's
it's
what's-
all
yeah.
so different from what you see in the other ones. But in this one episode, they had a polyamorous family. It's like 2 guys and a girl, and they're all doctors, and they're all like the guys are all tall, dark, and handsome, and the girl's super hot. And but the girl, she gets in the show, and I just think back to these one of the other trends that used to be a big popular storyline in shows like that was like the guy who's got 2 wives. He's like he's got a wife here and he's got a wife here, and like because that stuff has actually happened, right? People have actually been caught doing that. I noticed they never
double
did
family guys.
Yeah, I noticed they never did they never decided to subvert expectations and have like a ma. It would be hilarious to have them try to do a woman who had 2 families, but I'm still waiting for somebody to try and do that one where she's a traveling salesman and she's in Boston three days out of the week.
Death
and
of a
she's
saleswoman.
Yeah, I would love to see that one just to see them try to because the guys
she'd be a big pharmaceutical rep.
Yes, that's exactly what she would do. Or she'd work for like a marketing firm or
An
something.
MLM, maybe.
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect. It would be like yoga leggings. Like remember that whole that whole thing. And one of her families, she would have had the children herself, and the other one, they would have had a surrogate.
Yes. Right. Oh, yes. Because that's the only way they'd be able to explain. I couldn't conceive, and so we had to have a surrogate. Oh my gosh, we're giving somebody a fantastic idea.
This could be a very good
story right now.
It would be like, what was that? The Drew Barrymore show where she was like eating blood or something.
What?
Remember?
On her talk show?
No, was it Drew Barrymore? It was like a Netflix show. It was like something diet.
Oh, Santa Clarita Diet.
Right.
Wasn't
she drinking blood? Was it not Drew Barrymore?
That wasn't Josh Duhamel. That was Timothy Oliphant. Who was it in Santa Clarita Diet? I could be getting that wrong. I thought it was Timothy Oliphant, but I could be completely wrong with that. But I know what you're talking about. But yeah, we just gave them a
Mary
fantastic
looks like
idea.
she wants to leave. All of these ideas are making me uncomfortable.
Do you know what she is actually? She's actually a breast milk cheese saleswoman.
Great.
Yeah.
Love that side hustle.
Really.
I also wanted to talk about the Mary Sue's hit piece against Brett Cooper, who is playing the Daily Wire's Snow White, titled, "Fine, we can talk about the fever dream that is Brett Cooper's Daily Wire show." So some of this is criticizing the comments section, which is her show on there, but the rest of it is them harping on the Snow White remake. This says, Cooper joins the pattern of Daily Wire hosts that seem to dominate the network, failed actors and creatives bitter about Hollywood. Maybe those communist manifestos thrown at her were actually an actor prepares. You don't have to become a right-wing monster if you're bad at acting.
That is the funny line of this piece.
The idea that they leave Hollywood because they're not good enough at writing, show running, or acting is just completely anti-reality. It has nothing to do with their creative capabilities. It's the fact that you are forced to go along with social messaging.
I love the idea that one day she's writing a script and they just tell her it's bad. She goes, fine, well then I'm going to be pro-life.
I'm going to be a right-wing monster now.
You can't, it's like, she's not, like she's actually like a raging liberal, but she's like, now I'm going to, you can't make me. Now I'm going to go do this instead.
It says they're obviously now using Brett Cooper's quote-unquote acting background for Snow White and the Evil Queen.
She is an actress.
Yeah, like that's what she did before she worked for them.
Exactly.
Where is the lie? I'm so confused. And I was a theater major myself and know what her acting style is, and it isn't any good.
That's very
They know
authoritative.
they sound bitter, right?
Yeah, it's very authoritative.
Every time, any Mary Sue article that I've ever read, if you read it while imagining a cat in one hand and a boxed wine in the other hand,
So-
it always sounds more realistic.
One of these people is the failed actor who is starring in a movie. The other person is a theater major who ended up writing for the Mary Sue. Who in this situation is the failed actor?
Yeah.
Well, maybe she wasn't an actor. Maybe she was a failed director.
Either way, still, it's
Does
just
she
like,
have any? Does she have any credits?
They
I
also
doubt it.
They also don't like Brett Cooper because she's kind of, in a lot of ways, she's not a normie, but the content she makes can be like
It
watched
appeals
by
to normal people.
to normal people, right?
Okay,
Like
yeah.
you don't have to be, if you went and you stumbled upon Brett Cooper's channel, the beauty of it is she does the videos where it's like Brett Cooper answers the most asked questions on the internet. Unless you went and deep dived into her politics, you could very much look at her as just an opinionated woman in her 20s without getting a huge whiff of like what her actual political views are, because a lot of the times when you're discussing social issues, yes, they can give you like an inclination of what somebody believes, but it's not fair to them to base all of your assumptions on a person based on how they interpret one news story that they watch online.
Correct.
Right?
It says they decided to get a young white girl to be their parrot instead of the same 3 white guys doing it. Let's just act like Candace Owens doesn't exist. Yeah.
But also, if they got somebody who wasn't white, then they would accuse that person of like internalized
token,
racism or
yeah.
a token or whatever. It doesn't matter what you do. They have like a plethora of comments and insults that they can just choose from. It's like a grab bag, you know?
I love that when they somehow, when they celebrate diversity, like really, really kind of condescendingly, but then when Candace Owens makes her videos, that's like the number one excuse they use to try and derail her, is to say that you're only doing it for a check or something like that, not understanding that to reach her level of success, there's a level of work and a level of dedication that is really immaterial to her views.
I see that a lot. You see that, somebody who's in the public eye will get criticized, and no one realizes that that's actually an incredibly hardworking person who's sacrificed a ton to get to where they are and to achieve that level and keeps having to work. I was talking to my brother the other day who was basically complaining about having too many opportunities and not being sure what he should do. And
That's a good
nice. And I was like, you realize that this is what success is, right? Like you are successful now.
Yeah.
And he was like, but I'm broke and I'm overworked and I'm tired. And I was like, right, that you're successful. That's what that is.
You're successfully broke and overworked and
Correct.
tired, right?
Correct.
And for something like that, also there is an argument to be made here that, look, to be a very, very successful woman in media is not easy. That's not a woke idea. Is that there's the inclination that you have to be more than just your looks and more than just all of these things. It's long hours to do what they do, to do the research, and then you co-sign your name on everything you do. In a lot of ways. So it's the hierarchy of oppression, right? They can't get her because she's a woman or because she's not a guy. They can't say you're a white male, you're a black woman like Candace Owens. So they have to say it's because they placed you here. No. You work very hard in those jobs to do what you do, to get what you get out of it. And if I was somebody in that position, and I was as successful as they are, it would be insulting to be like, look, am I supposed to just roll over and say, yes, I was some product that was served to you? Even if that was true, you still have to be the one who shows up, does the work, and delivers, and actually brings in an audience that generates views and revenue. So the idea that either side dismisses, and the right does it too, when they dismiss these sites which aren't getting the ad revenue that they used to, right? But the people are still putting in the work. They're just not as successful as a lot of the ones going the other way. So I see a lot of it from both sides going back and forth. It's annoying when it's used to kind of demean an individual. Like I'm much less opposed to just telling a corporation to stick it than telling some person they didn't work hard, even if I disagree with them, because I don't know how hard they worked to get where they got. Right? And they don't have a right to tell Brett Cooper that she's not successful. She's just not successful by their metrics, which is to suck on the teat of Hollywood for supposed legitimacy, which they are craving and desperate for. She has no such craving. And she's going to laugh all the way to the bank to do so.
Right, exactly. They have no idea how bitter they sound.
No, they don't.
No self-awareness. Okay, let's go to Super Chats.
This author, this Rachel Leishman, who wrote
Oh,
the Mary
yeah, the
Sue
Mary Sue
story.
chick.
Yeah, she has 4 credits on IMDb. I don't know
what
what
are
else
they?
she's done. She was in a short in 2014 called Apartment 8.
Okay.
She was she played herself on 2 TV series, Real Geek Girls and Well Actually, in 2017 and 2019. 3 episodes altogether.
If it's not well, actually, then I don't want to watch it.
It's her entire personality.
And then and then she was in I'm George Lucas, a Connor Ratliff story.
Oh,
Got
boy.
it. So
4
we
credits.
know who the failed actor is.
Yeah.
Now.
Brett Cooper was objectively more successful.
Objectively more successful.
Wait, even
correct.
before she went to the Daily Wire.
Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that is right.
All
Okay.
right, let's go to Super Chats.
Myth-informed MKE said, hot take, old school JRPGs are good for kids because it forces them to read and problem solve.
Hi, Sean. How's it going?
Jake Ramirez, Peter Leo said, I love all of you. Sorry I don't make it live more often. My question, how many right-wing libertarian homosexual bros watch PCC? Is it just me?
Probably. I have
Sound
not,
off
I
in
don't-
chat
I
if you
don't-
guys are right-wing libertarian homosexual bros.
I don't know if my YouTube metrics get that specific, but I can
No.
check.
I don't think they do.
I can like just you go into like the YouTube studio, like right wing homosexual libertarian, but no, nothing coming up.
Nothing
but
there.
Thanks
thank you for watching.
regardless.
Let's do 2 more.
Shane H. Wilder said, I've never taken a woman to Cheesecake Factory, but I see no issue. I tend to lean toward a simple meal for a first date and a conversation, and then end the date with some time and adoration.
I'm gonna now. You know what it is now? Every first date now. Cheesecake Factory.
It has to have adoration in it.
That's religious, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. The church is on the list, so we'll debate about that when we get to it.
I'm taking every girl to Cheesecake Factory from now on.
Cheesecake and then church? Or
Cheesecake
church and then cheesecake?
I think church and then
What order?
the cheesecake brunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do 1 more.
You get like huevos rancheros with cheesecake on it.
Isaac Martinez said, welcome back, Mary and Libby. How are things?
How you guys doing?
How are
Not
things?
bad. Not bad.
Things are good.
Mary got to go and put some 304s in their place for a couple days. She feels instantly better.
Nice.
She had to get it out of her
I
system.
don't know if I do. I don't really know.
Is it cathartic to do that?
No.
No? Just leaves you feeling a little bit hopeless
But-
about humanity?
If the individuals across from me don't hear what I'm saying, I hope there are people watching who do. You know?
All right, let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about Taylor Swift, Mary.
Yeah, so she is officially reaching billionaire status off of the $4 billion she's going to make off of her Eras tour. That is not including the movie that is based on the tour and not including merch. She also just released the re-recorded version of her album 1989 with some extra tracks. Harry Styles is getting dragged through the mud right now because some of them are about him, and it's not nice. Still good songs though. Style is a really good song. Phil was just posting about it actually.
I
saying
saw
it was
that.
like one of his favorite songs ever. And it is good.
Yes.
Objectively. People thought he was joking.
Yeah.
You can't reduce someone down to one genre.
No, you can't. I used to
Especially
think that you
musicians.
could. When I was in high school, I thought that you could only listen to one genre. That lasted for about 1.5 years, and then I was like, oh wait.
What
that's
genre
more-
was that for you?
We used to call it alternative.
So like what, live?
What's live?
I mean, that's
Radiohead?
a pretty broad term.
Radiohead.
That
the
includes a lot of
Smiths,
things.
Smiths,
Susie and the
okay.
Banshees, like
Oh, okay.
Dead Milkmen. There were a lot. Joy
Purple?
Division. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
But I also listened to Prince, and then I also listened to Beastie Boys. So I was like, oh, that my metric doesn't work anymore.
So would you
Everyone loves
And I
consider
listened
yourself
to like Public
a
Enemy
Swiftie?
and stuff. Me?
Yeah.
Um,
In any sense?
No. I'm 100% sure that I've heard her songs, but I could not name a single one.
Got it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, everyone's heard Blank Space.
They play them in the grocery store, probably.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would
But
not.
that's-
I would not recognize a Taylor Swift song.
Why else would she be a billionaire if she didn't have mass appeal?
No,
like
that seems that's great. I mean, more power to you,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. But no, I do not consider myself a fan.
She is the power of pumpkin spice latte in modern day American culture.
I've also never had a pumpkin spice latte.
Oh, fantastic. That
She's
is
not
amazing.
like other girls, okay?
The other thing
I wanted to also address this. Taylor Swift released a statement slamming speculation that she is bisexual. There is a faction of the Swifties called the Gaylers, who
That's really cute.
wholeheartedly believe that Taylor Swift is a lesbian and she's just been hiding it from the world this entire time.
I think it's cute that she's going out with that football guy.
Yeah, it is a nice
I think it's
look,
really,
at least.
yeah.
They look good together.
I think it's cute.
Here's her prologue to 1989, Taylor's version. It became clear to me that for me, there was no such thing as casual dating, or even having a male friend who you platonically hang out with. If I was seen with him, it was assumed I was sleeping with him. And so I swore off hanging out with guys, dating, flirting, or anything that could be weaponized against me by a culture that claimed to believe in liberating women, but consistently treated me with the harsh moral codes of the Victorian era. Being a consummate optimist, I assumed I could fix this if I simply changed my behavior. I swore off dating and decided to focus only on myself, my music, my growth, and my female friendships. If I only hung out with my female friends, people couldn't sensationalize or sexualize that, right? I would learn later on that people could and people would.
I mean, she also makes the point that I don't know if she's saying that this is because she's a woman, but it's not because you're a woman. It's because you're like a gazillionaire and
Right.
like everybody is talking.
Other
about
women
you.
don't have their relationships picked apart by the media. That's just you, Taylor.
But here's the thing: a lot of those women would love that if it came with the money and the status
And the dating
and the
Harry
fame.
Styles and
Yeah.
the dating the Jake Gyllenhaals and the John Mayers. But she's just like the meme of the Grim Reaper.
Going from door to door.
Going from door to door. She spared Taylor Lautner, but now Harry Styles is next.
Do you think she'll write about the football guy?
Oh, yeah. Of course, people already have written songs for her about their
Oh.
breakup that hasn't happened yet.
Wow. I was kind of hoping that they get married and it's perfect.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't know.
I feel it's unlikely at this point.
It would be
and
cool though. I mean, it would be so nice. And then Disney could make a movie. It would be great. I mean, it would be very, I don't know. That'd be nice.
Tailor-made. That's what it'll be called.
That's perfect.
In another world, she would make a good Cinderella.
She would. Yeah, that's true. Right
think
down to like
Lily
the
James
songs.
did it well, though.
Yeah.
The reason I think she's so successful is because in a culture that's changing as quickly as ours is, everything's about diversity, everything's about inclusion, everything's about globalization. She is one of the last bits of just unapologetic Americana.
She's an artifact of a bygone era.
Yes, she is.
in her own.
She's kind of this last
She is a bit. Yeah.
gasp of American culture. And all that comes with her may be more convoluted than that. But to the, like, I was going to send you this video earlier, and now I wish I had. There's this video. Do you remember, Mary, when we talked about the Johnny Depp video where Camille Vasquez, like, where he, like, fixes her phone cord? And they're like, the way he looks at her, it's like these people
He's
who are
such a
delusional.
gentleman.
People are so delusional.
They're in love.
There was this one, it's like, listen to the way Taylor Swift says mother on this song. And the comments are the most batshit crazy.
Really?
It's insane. And a person to have that level of pull in the culture right now, I think is indicative of people who maybe without even realizing it are hearkening back to a time that is just not really at the forefront of any of the way that mass marketed media is pushed nowadays.
But it's still effective though.
It is, and I think what they'll fail to realize is they'll try to repackage 1,000 other women like her that aren't her, that don't harken back to that time in American culture, and then wonder why it's not succeeding. Mm-hmm. It would also require them to be the ruthless businesswoman that I know that she probably is behind the scenes. I am sure she's absolutely ruthless.
She got screwed that time, right? And so she's not going to get screwed again.
I mean, she got screwed as much as any artist got screwed.
Right, but she's not going to let it happen again.
No, because she can buy a lot of
She'll make an example out of them.
Right.
And she's going through a renaissance right now. I'm sure she will have a couple more to go in her career. But this one is interesting to me because she supplanted her millennial female audience with a Gen Z female audience as her music evolved.
That's pretty cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think that possibly one of the reasons Gen Z Swifties are so obsessed and fixated on picking apart and analyzing her dating life is because these girls don't actually have great dating lives and they have to live vicariously through hers.
I don't think anyone has a great dating life anymore.
These days, no.
Well, that's what it is, right? Like, if she was making songs about successful relationships, she wouldn't be as...
She has love songs, but it's with this implication that it was short-lived.
Yes.
Short-lived romance love songs.
But that's not what resonates with the average woman these days. I still believe wholeheartedly that what it is I believe that she's actually, I don't think she's a witch, but I think there's something that comes out of like in her music. And when it's combined in a woman's ears and the combination of SSRIs, pumpkin spice latte, and birth control all rise up and make them unbelievably mad.
They're in a constant state of neurosis, and the Taylor Swift album is all that can placate them.
And the music, it like hits some limbic trigger that she worked out with Pfizer. That's why she's dating.
Or MK Ultra.
Yeah, it's very MK Ultra, right? So the CIA, she's a CIA plant, and it's making all of these women with this special this special kind of amalgamation of stuff in them. It's the birth control, it's the antidepressants, it's the Adderall, and it's the pumpkin spice Starbucks. And they just can't help themselves.
They say that Taylor Swift's music is for girls whose biggest trauma in life was their high school breakup. And again, I say they live vicariously through her dating life, which is much more interesting than theirs. But I just don't think that most people go through breakups that are these monumental betrayals. They're like world events almost.
It really depends on how you frame it in your own head.
Oh yeah, I believe they think they do, because everyone these days who makes a TikTok about breaking up says that their boyfriend or girlfriend, okay, it's mostly
boyfriend.
Girls. It's their boyfriend was a malignant narcissist who was out to get them.
Well, that's a really big word right now, is narcissist. Everyone's a narcissist. Every one of my friends who tells me about like some guy and it didn't work out, well, he was really a narcissist. And I'm like, are we sure that's not us?
I roll my eyes.
Right.
If they use that term, I'm immediately like, okay.
A little skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's like their boyfriend was a malignant, evil narcissist who was out to control them at every corner. Like, maybe. I mean, it could be true. I don't think there's statistically that many psychopathic personalities in the world.
Even if that were true, the main takeaway you should have from that failed relationship is about the mistakes you made. Because you should analyze in yourself why you were attracted to a malignant narcissist. But that introspection is never going to happen.
People are only willing to do that now when it relates to diagnosable mental illness that they can make videos about. So it's when they get to call themselves I watched this hilarious video earlier. It's like, our parents didn't think they were autistic, but they would stack 12 plates in rows on shelves and put them behind glass. I'm like, they didn't want you to break the plates. You didn't own nice stuff back then.
Gen Z looking at normal human behavior. Is this autism?
Yeah, no, that's what it is, right? So that's what a lot of it is like people look for it in everyone else and then get mad. And then somebody pointed out in the video. Somebody pointed out the video where they said like adults will pretend like autism wasn't a thing. They're like, it literally wasn't when they were a kid. It wasn't in the DSM.
It wasn't really a thing. Yeah.
So their lack of belief in it is completely understandable.
And trans was transsexual.
Yeah,
and
can't say that anymore.
Yeah, you can't say that anymore.
It's hilarious watching all of this stuff happen, because it kind of makes this it's what makes this show the most fun for me, which is watching the way that corporatized products that are essentially human corporatized products affect and move the culture from place to place, because they're all, in a lot of ways, they're a reflection of the society that you're living in. So you'll see trends come and go based on what's popular in society because it resonates. She resonates because I think that the women are not okay.
That's a good takeaway from looking at her success. Absolutely.
So I would like to see I guess the best test would be she gets married, lives happily ever after, writes nothing but love songs, and we see if the success holds.
Yeah, the last thing I want is for Taylor Swift to get married and then get divorced.
Oh, that would be terrible.
It would be worse than if she never marries at all.
Yeah,
because
it would be worse.
Look at who she's leading. Like, she is a thought leader for women, essentially, at this point.
The best would be like the promo for the music would be just epic. It would be like this.
Her divorce breakup songs would be another level.
Yeah. I like the idea that she names it, like the name of the album is like Hughes and Hughes. It's like her two lawyers, like whoever her divorce lawyers are, that's the name of the album.
Yeah. It seems like one of her main issues that she takes with Harry Styles is that he insisted on keeping their relationship more private. Like, he picked me up with his headlights off. Things like that, hiding from the paparazzi. Things that normal people don't deal with, by the way. But
that seems great, though. That seems better.
Given that you're in the public eye, why would you want to go out of your way to broadcast any of it?
Like, try and get your relationship sorted, see what you have together before you push it everywhere. Maybe she's loving this whole thing with the football guy with Travis because it's like super public.
He's leaning
on
into
ESPN. Well, but he was a fan before he went out with her, and I think that's kind of weird. Like going out with someone who was a fan,
who has a
first
preconceived notion
of who you are. Yeah, like that's kind of. I think that's wacky, and I think it would be disconcerting because you would be constantly trying to figure out if you want to live up to their expectations, dash them. You wouldn't know if you could just be yourself.
How does she do that then?
Is there a Taylor Swift underneath it all?
How does she do that in an age where everyone knows who you are?
Well, you could know who you are without like.
So is he supposed to lie? He's like, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like, what? You make music?
No, he like
never heard of it.
But he did like a big approach based on. He like bought tickets to her show. It was like a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The alpha male in him won out, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's all the effort that he put into to do it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well,
I do hope it works out between them, but given her track record, likely not. I just don't understand how you could be excited about anyone you're dating after 37 breakups.
Maybe her downfall will be like people end up not liking the songs that she makes, and she's like, there's like all this pressure. They get divorced, and now there's all this pressure to make these amazing songs.
Well, it'll whittle down her fan base to only the absolute cult loyalists at that point, like Lana Del Rey.
All right, let's go to Super Chats. Let's do a couple
Okay.
there.
Shashmiel said, what if someone had an emotional support? Okay, I'm not going to say that. Like an anime figurine.
An emotional support.
Doesn't sound any more healthy than what Fran Drescher has going on. But imagine Fran Drescher walks up with her Jellycat plushie and then Bob Iger puts an anime figurine on the table.
That would actually,
they battle it out.
He has like a Pokeball, and he puts a Pokeball.
They should just play a game of Monopoly, and whoever wins wins.
Gets to dictate terms.
Yeah.
I know. I don't like that because he like I feel like Iger would because does anybody ever actually finish a game?
What's
of
Bob Iger's?
Yes.
You actually
Monopoly?
finish Monopoly.
Yes.
That's insane.
I used to play with my grandfather quite a bit.
That is patently insane.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
I
finished
never
Monopoly
in my
games all the
life
time.
finished a game of Monopoly.
But it's fun. And if you play right down
See,
to
that
the
speaks
end,
to your short attention span.
My attention span was always short, but not nearly as short as it is now in the cell phone age. But like, I was one of those people. I was the actual ADHD people who had a very hard time sitting still. Though I do love those memes now. It's like, I don't think I can pay my rent. And somebody's like, I think we can work something out. And says everybody else watching us, everyone else playing Monopoly.
Bucky Ducky said, what about emotional support duck? I had one once. That's valid. I had a friend with an emotional support duck.
Did you see the guy who brought the peacock on the plane like a couple weeks ago? Yeah, a guy brought a peacock on the plane.
That's insane.
Yep.
Bucky Ducky said black dress checks out for Mary.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with a black dress.
Let's do one more.
Peter Leo said California rejected gay marriage by popular vote.
Yeah, when was that? 2000?
BC.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen now, I don't think. All right, let's go ahead and move on, shall we? Mary, what's going on with Bud Light and UFC?
The UFC is about to take a sponsorship deal with Bud Light after all of the boycotts and the Dylan Mulvaney scandal. And this is especially ironic given that Dana White, who is running the UFC, is outspokenly right-wing. And I wouldn't have assumed he would be cool with this, but he's actually defended the decision to his fan base. I don't think that this is going to be popular with them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes given the I personally think that the boycott went on for so long now that it's a little bit past its the brunt of when it was the most successful. So I think that this one could end up fizzling out.
They should have done a deal with ultra right beer.
That would have.
Although that would have made them less money. But this says lighting that money on fire would have been less embarrassing than what's about to happen. But isn't this Bud Light trying to repair their reputation after Dylan Mulvaney?
There was another great Babylon Bee meme. It says Bud Light tries to repair its image after Dylan Mulvaney scandal by co-signing a show where sweaty men hug for 25 minutes. Let's listen to this
They
clip.
want to be popular with men again. They're trying to ingratiate themselves to the people that were their customer base.
Yep. Here we go.
They were the first beer company that we really did business with. They're our first real big sponsor when we were getting started, and now we're back with them. And going into this deal, you know, I know all the controversy and everything else, but for myself, going into a long-term deal with another sponsor, I want to be with somebody that I'm actually aligned with. And I know people were upset with what they did, but I'm looking at all the good things that they do. You know, they employ 65,000 Americans. They have thousands of vets that work for them. They spend $700 million a year with U.S. farmers using their crops to make their products, and many, many other great things that Anheuser-Busch has done in this country. And those are the things that I'm focused on. When I look at a long-term sponsor that's going to be, we're going to do a 6-year deal here. I want to be with somebody that I'm aligned with. All those things that I just mentioned to you are what I'm all about. And not to mention, they have this thing called Folds of Honor. I'm very big into law enforcement and military. And over the last, I don't know how many years, they've spent like $45 million taking care of, you know, these servicemen and first responders who have died, taking care of their families, scholarships for their kids and things like that. So I am very aligned with Anheuser-Busch. They were the...
That doesn't explain why we were told that it was a frat boy culture that needed to be changed on their target demographics. He expertly moved the discussion.
They media trained him well.
Yes.
He's
always been good at that.
Didn't they fire a bunch of people though, Bud Light?
Yeah.
Didn't they get rid of those marketing people? Didn't they get rid of a lot of the people who made those decisions? So I think it makes sense. Redemption should be possible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't have that same. I agree, but
I'm
don't
like
saw that
fully
video.
on board
I
with
believe
redemption.
I believe in person, like an individual redeeming themselves. I'm a lot more skeptical of a
corporation,
because I don't actually. The thing is, I don't actually look for a corporation to need to be redeemed most of the time. I don't look as corporations as people. I look at corporations as profit-seeking entities that do all sorts of good and bad things. Some of it, sure, they might donate a ton of money to help other people. They're not doing that because the corporation has a heart of its own that beats and feels good about doing good things. The example I always give is Vince McMahon, the owner of WWE, ironically enough, owned by Endeavor Media, which also Endeavor Corporation, which also owns UFC. He allows anyone who's ever worked for WWE at any time to go to rehab for free on their dime. That's not because Vince McMahon is a swell guy with a heart of gold. It's because WWE had an enormous drug problem that saw hundreds of wrestlers die young because of the coke-fueled promos of the 80s and the steroid scandals. It's good PR for the company to allow people to see them helping people who struggle.
Sure, but corporations are made up of people. I mean, corporations are made up of human beings who have thoughts and feelings and whatnot.
When decisions are made by consensus, I find it hard. At least for maybe I'm also very dumb. So like when corporations are aligned with people who make decisions by consensus, then am I supposed to act, which 37 of these people were the ones that voted for this to be the policy?
Do corporations make their decisions based on consensus? I mean, that doesn't sound...
But they vote, I'm assuming that the board votes on ideas.
No, the board doesn't vote on ideas. The board tells you when you've screwed up and they're losing money.
So then the ideas are then put forth by what? The promotion is done by...
Whoever comes up with the idea, whose department it is, brings the idea. So
like
if
that
it's
horrible VP of marketing that they fired.
Right, like the horrible VP of marketing who they fired came up with the stupid Dylan Mulvaney idea and then just did it, right? Because they're in charge of marketing, so they just did it.
I tend to not look at any corporate entity as something for me to get emotionally involved in.
Oh, for sure. I agree with you on that.
Like, it doesn't benefit me. I don't think it benefits anyone else. I understand why people boycott these companies. I don't. My goal is to not care enough about them to allow it to affect my daily life.
I did not boycott Bud Light, but I also don't drink beer.
I don't drink Bud Light. I don't drink anyway, so it doesn't affect me. But I'm not going to not go to Target if I need something because of...
I'm going to not go to Target because it's further away than Walmart.
That used to be true for me, but now because of the detour,
because of the stupid detour,
I have to go to Target, and it was really funny the last time we were there. I was like, I had to get something like a power strip, and I was like, I don't even know where to look for this without a search key on my phone.
Right? Yeah.
I'd actually go and then I got into it. I'm like going and looking through the aisles. It appealed to like the hunter gatherer in me to go around looking for things
to just go find it.
But yeah, like do you guys are there companies that you boycott on principle? Is there anything that you boycott on principle?
I don't think of anything off the top of my head. I think my tax dollars are already being used to support things that I'm ethically opposed to.
Like so many things.
So you're powerless no matter what. You can vote with your dollar only to such an extent. And me boycotting something like Starbucks or Target or what have you, it will never have an effect on their bottom line.
I do love the idea that instead of saying all those things, I understand that what Dana White's response was the right one. It was the media trained proper response in that situation. I would have rather he'd have been like, it was a lot of money. Like, I wanted the money.
Like, that's the real honest answer.
Yes. Like, that's a lot of zeros. I believe in, we are aligned in the fact that we believe in checks with lots of zeros on them. That appeals to me more than, like, I'd rather have the brutal honesty than the shifted answer where you kind of just shift the focus of the discussion onto something else, which anybody who has spent any time watching any type of media personality respond to a press conference knows that there's objective behind that.
Well, I mean, reading this Variety interview with Bill Abbott, who is in charge of Great American Family, is the prime example of that.
Absolutely.
And you know what? He actually did a terrible job of answering these questions and should have never taken an interview like this in the first place. Like, all of the trade magazines are already going to be attacking you.
It's like Daily Wire.
Why would you engage with them?
It's like the Daily Wire going to Variety and being like, I would like to do an interview with you, and then not expecting them to sandbag you.
It was the same thing that happened with the director of Sound of Freedom doing an interview with Variety and then being like, well, what do you say about Jim Caviezel being a QAnon conspiracy theorist? Except this interview was even worse because the entire time they're trying to get him to answer for Candace Cameron Bure being Christian and therefore not wanting to put gay couples in Hallmark Christmas movies. It's not that complicated.
Well, the thing too
She's
is
their content officer. She's in charge of content. That's what she had to say about it.
Also, who is the demographic who watches Hallmark films?
This is white Christian women.
So let them have their representation.
Right.
Like, everybody gets to have representation except for people with traditional values.
I think that the demographic maybe for Great American Family is white Christian women. I think the demographic for Hallmark
it might be a little more mixed.
It's just white Western women. And I don't think that the average white Western woman cares or has a problem with seeing gay marriage on screen. I think if you whittle that down to the idea that it's the Christian demographic, which would have been heavy, but Hallmark isn't suffering. Hallmark is expanding their portfolio every year.
Well, this says Great American Family has expanded a lot, like by 150% audience increase.
Before they've made these changes. We'll see what happens. Well, we'll
but
see
it looks
what they do.
you broke off from Hallmark to make your ideological stance known. And now that you have this alternative network, you're just going to bend the knee once again? It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
And you put yourself in a vulnerable position for no reason. One question they asked was, you've mentioned in most of our conversations that diversity and inclusivity are important to you. On your holiday slate, only 1 of 20 movies has black leads. What kind of changes are you working on?
There's no right answer to that question.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You could be like, next year, all 20 of our movies are going to have black leads. And they'll be like, yeah, but why don't you make more movies so that there's more black? There's no right answer to that question.
Or are they all tokens? Is that what you're doing? Exactly. Are you going to do a hip hop Christmas and it's going to be a token?
Yeah.
Hallmark film.
I'm not even going to read his response to that because it was just so blundering and directionless. It doesn't mean anything. He's just trying to appease them.
See, what I would say is I think your values are trash and I'm not interested in them.
He tried
they
to.
Are, though. They
yeah,
are
exactly.
interested in them.
They are interested
They still.
in them.
What I think a lot of these companies make the mistake of doing is once they break off and do their own thing, they still get that hankering for that mainstream approval. They want the validation and the validity that comes from the positive articles and stuff like that, not realizing that will never happen again.
If the nicest Christian wife lady, Candace Bure, has more balls than you, evaluate evaluate where you're going, dude. Like, you are an executive of a giant company and you gave up an even bigger company to do this. Take a stand on something.
It turns out that the Camerons have bigger balls than most.
Right?
I mean, Kirk Cameron is really, he's just out there very directly saying what he thinks and what he believes in.
She might also just be more of a believer than him.
I believe that's probably true. They said, is she a spokesperson for the company? Now, she is the chief content officer. She's in charge of the content that they make. I don't know what could give her more power over the types of storylines and casting that they approve. And he still insists that when she does interviews and she talks about the direction of Great American Family, that she's just talking about her own opinions and she can't speak for the company.
Even though she's programming for the company.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And that obviously came off as a ridiculous non-answer to the interviewer. So they said, okay, so I'm going to ask you as the voice of the company, when it comes to featuring same-sex couples in films, is that something you guys want to do or plan to do? Here's his stupid answer. I think that's a very good and fair question. I don't think when we set out to do any type of movie, we cast it first. The first thing we think about is a great storyline or great characters on an emotional journey. We're not seeking to do anything or not do anything. Like, what are you doing then? And we take it every day as it comes. This business is so challenged across the entire industry right now that we're just looking to celebrate great stories. We don't have an agenda either way. It's not in the faith and family playbook to have agendas that are either pro or anti. We want to entertain and inspire and be uplifting and consistently provide an experience that is high quality. That is our most important objective. I get that they can say we're trying to make content without an agenda, but your company is called Great American Family. You've been open about talking about faith values and family values. These are the things you are pro. You can't just sit on the fence forever. Yep. Take a side. There's no way to exist in the middle anymore.
Here's it just reminded me, like, my new favorite meta and the thing that's been popping off this year is all of the every Hallmark movie ever skits, which are always my favorite thing to watch here.
Wow, this place is lovely.
Thanks, Hi, I'm a small-town guy.
Oh, hi, I'm big city girl.
Truth is, if we don't sell more pumpkins, we may have to shut the whole patch down.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, maybe I can help.
How so?
Well, I used to do marketing in the big city, but my job kept me from ever having a meaningful relationship, so I had to leave.
Marketing? I never thought of that. Yeah, ever since I opened up the pumpkin patch, I haven't made time for myself either.
Okay, I'll help, but you have to promise not to fall in love with me.
A small-town guy falling for a big city girl like yourself? Not a chance.
Wow. I love it.
I have like a whole folder of like that's it's like
That's
there
really
used to be
cute.
this guy this Instagrammer named Max the Very Good Boy who he'd make like 5 of these every year. And now it's like I don't think he wants to make them anymore because like he's just so sick because it's so memeable that everybody makes these now. Hi, I'm a small town guy. The comments are correct though. They forgot the part where he's a widow. He's he's got
well,
a
it depends
child
on the age range that they are, but yeah. Love that. Love the flannel. Everything about it.
I love
Keep
that
it simple, stupid.
Right? I love that it's a
with
pumpkin
the
patch.
theatrics.
It's not a farm. He doesn't have a farm.
Yeah.
He just has a pumpkin
Or it's
patch.
a coffee shop or
Right.
something like that.
Whatever it is.
marketing. I never thought of that.
It never occurred to me to tell anyone we have a pumpkin patch. And that we sell things here.
It's
At the pumpkin patch farm stand.
It's my favorite. Look, I lived by a place where I lived in. I was right off of a main road, and there was a mini apple orchard at this house that you could just go, and it was only open right before Thanksgiving and up till late September to the end of October. It's the only time. I don't know what they did the rest of the year. I assume they had normal jobs the rest of the year. But yeah. So yeah, and I think you're right. Like for a lot of it, it's in his mind, you can equivocate and find a middle ground there. You can't, at least not if you're going to give this interview.
No.
Right?
He shouldn't have taken the interview in the first place, but he clearly doesn't know what he's doing.
He should have given the interview to Candace Cameron Bure.
She's better at speaking up for what she believes.
Yeah.
And it speaks to what we were talking about earlier, is as a company, you have to know what the hell you're selling and who the hell you're selling it to.
You know, we're not really trying to sell anything or not sell anything, and we're not pro or anti anything, and we're not trying to do anything or not do anything. We're just thing.
I always have a sting.
Like, that's not how you appeal to anyone.
I never miss a thing.
So the left already hates you. The middle probably doesn't know you exist, and the right is looking for you to not abandon them. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I would love a third one, given that it's Friday. How about that? Yeah. People yesterday. Is Ian back yet?
Was he ever gone?
Is Ian back? I have no idea.
I didn't know he was
back.
No, I'm doing IRL again in Ian's chair tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long day.
It's a long day.
Long day.
When I figured out how long the day was, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's really quite something. And I didn't bring dinner with me, so I'm hoping there's something in the fridge.
There's something in the fridge. Let's go to Super Chats.
I even thought about it. I was like, oh, it'll be like when I used to commute to work and I would bring my lunch.
Got to bring a bag lunch.
I did not do it. I started making it and then I ate it.
That's what I would do. I would eat it.
I was
while
like,
I was
oh, look,
making
it's
it.
my lunch. And I'll just eat this.
Let's go Super Chats.
The dearly departed said, it's like my grandfather said, if you don't give a woman what she wants, she will be unhappy. Give her what she wants and she'll be effing miserable.
Oh, no.
Is that true, ladies?
Sage
I
wisdom.
can't confirm. I can't confirm.
Quite Blackpilled said, OC is red AF. It's why they did us dirty in Twisted Metal. When California falls into the sea, Orange County will be last.
I do recommend, seeing as somebody brought up Twisted Metal, if we're talking about the games, yes. But everyone, if you have Peacock, which I know that literally that means me and like one other person on planet Earth, and the people who watch WWE, I guess, have Peacock, go watch the Twisted Metal series. It was a lot of fun.
Peter Leo said, do y'all build Legos ever? It's my new thing. I'm 33.
That's another one of those.
Love how you added your age at the end. It's fine.
You guys ever put Legos
There are adult
together?
Lego sets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a huge thing. One of my it's this whole social media trend where it's like tell me your man will never cheat without telling me your man will never cheat. Or it's this
just
one.
a video of him
It's
playing
a guy's.
with Legos.
They're either Legos or train sets, but the other one's the girl who goes, "Men with no hose. Where are you?" And the guy's like, well, I actually built an elevated bed, and underneath I have all my Lego sets, and he's got like a Lego universe underneath his
That's
bed.
actually very cool.
Yeah, like it's, there's plenty of guys out there doing that because, and then women will laugh at them, but they got hobbies. They got stuff they want to go do.
They got stuff they want to do, yeah.
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 It's also another one of these things that there's like these two realms that seem to go back and forth. Either we're poor, this whole generation's poor, nobody can own a house, and we're all going to die miserable and alone and broke. Or it's the thing where you go into this room and this guy or this girl's got some hobby that they've got 80,000 things of in there, and they're like, it's just the things I liked when I was a kid, but I'm an adult and I've got money now. I'm like, well, if you haven't bought your house yet, and that costs as much of a house, I don't want to hear about how you can't afford it.
Well, that's like Tim's thing. Now he has a skate park in his house.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Tell me your man is not going to cheat. Video of Tim skating in his house.
I do Legos with my son, and often if I buy him a Lego set, I get one for myself.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Not personally into Lego, but to each their own. Jacob Edler
I get the
said,
little tiny one so that it doesn't take very long, but I can have the satisfaction of having finished something.
I like the bouquets.
That's what I got the last time. It was daffodils.
Puzzles. I know people who are like, I know a lot of people who are actually really into puzzles now because it's something they can do that's active for their brain. And then they frame them.
You look at the picture and you see a piece and you think, where would this go?
My grandma was really into crossword puzzles, which was fun.
Wholesome.
My mom loves Sudoku.
I don't like Sudoku.
I don't like Sudoku either.
Jacob Edler said, the artificially inflated economy of Hollywood pisses me off to no end. All these people will spend multiple years bloating the economy, being paid to produce nothing. No one will see Snow White. Money laundering.
Could be.
Are they going to call it off entirely?
I
feel like we're a little too far into the process, but I wish I could say that.
Let's do one more.
The ninja from Pop Culture Planet said, okay, our planet has decided to take on the Pregnant Woman movie challenge. We will call it Catch Her If You Can. Think about it.
I will go watch that movie.
Okay.
We'll go watch that movie. All right, let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. So, guys, at the start of the week, it was on Monday, I believe this came out, a list went viral after the International Coalition of Women decided there was a list of places you can no longer take them on a first date. So I asked the question because number one on that list was, in fact, the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes.
I asked you, the chat, if it was in fact okay to take a woman to the Cheesecake Factory for a first date. I do want to point out, we get a little bit of credibility here. I don't know what the demographics are of our live chat, but PCC, I believe, has like a 20 to 25% female audience. So hopefully there's some women in there that are sounding off. Maybe they're the ones who said no to this, because 83% of you said yes, it is in fact okay to take a lady to Cheesecake Factory on a first date. So first things first, I'm going to ask you, ladies, is it okay to go to Cheesecake Factory on a first date?
What do you say, Libby?
Sure.
I would say yes, but it is a lot of food, and I don't know if I want to be around someone on a first date in my Cheesecake Factory
haze,
my food coma after the fact. That would be worrying. I would get a salad. Bring cheesecake home.
Really? I don't really even like cheesecake very much, but I kind of feel like any place could be an interesting experience with the right person. So, you know,
any place.
Yeah, any place, really. I mean,
don't know.
Have an adventure, buy the ticket, take the ride, you know.
Let's
give it a shot. See what happens.
Well, okay, there's this viral video of a woman refusing to get out of the car on a first date at the Cheesecake Factory. That is the reason why it's the first on this list. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it.
I feel like we should just play a couple minutes of this.
It goes on. The video goes on.
It's 6 minutes long.
We'll
six
just do
painful minutes.
Do a little of it.
Let's refresh and see.
This woman is incredibly entitled.
Here it is.
Let me just get the door for you.
Okay. I love how she's doing the nice act.
Let me just get the door for you.
Okay.
He got me at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. I ain't getting out this car.
She locked the door.
It's not even her car.
That's crazy.
Yes. Would you want me to open the door for you? Look. Are you're recording me?
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
You want to talk about it? I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Come on, get it on in the car. Yeah.
I hope this is staged.
It's not.
I don't think
it is.
He would be an incredible actor if it was staged.
Oh, okay.
No, or he has enough confidence to take a woman to Cheesecake Factory on the first date.
So yes.
Which I think is fine.
Let's talk about it.
So you expect a man to go all out on the first date? Is that right?
I mean, you're supposed to. Look at.
Look at me. I'm such a prize.
This is like that lady
And
from the
you're
other day with
courting
the black outfit.
Because I get courted. So you're courting her, right? You're supposed to take care of her. You're supposed to cover her. You're supposed to protect her, cherish her, treat her well.
Isn't that the marriage part?
Everything about this is ridiculous because you know what happened? You had feminists demanding that they could just be slutty and they could like sleep around and it doesn't have to matter and nothing should matter about that. And they also say, you know, that they want the man to do all of this stuff, but like you can't have all of the things exactly your way.
So,
you have to give something if you're going to be looking. Like, what's this woman's expectations? She expects this man to like take her out to somewhere fancy so that she can treat him like shit there. Why?
Right.
In the chat, somebody says it's staged. You can't roll down the window when the car is off.
Oh, that's a good point.
Is that the case?
I mean, I doubt that this is a woman who would actually crank the window down if that's the kind of car.
Yeah.
She probably wouldn't even get in a car if it had a window crank. She'd be like, that's not good enough for me.
For the sake of faith in humanity, I really hope it's fake, but I don't think it is. I think there are women out there that are genuinely this delusional and entitled.
The window thing is compelling.
I didn't think about that.
All the things she mentioned were things that marriage entails, not things that taking off on some lady that you just met the first time entail.
Also, try and have fun. Like, if you're annoyed he took you to the Cheesecake Factory, make fun of it and have a good time.
There's a $20 super chat here from the Dearly Departed. Says, context, this woman flaked out and was over an hour late for their date and then played the victim when he had to improvise because she spoiled their initial reservation. That is the entitlement and delusion of 2X chromosomes. We have another $20 super chat here from Ryan the Eating Warrior. Says, confirmed, not a skit. The woman was dead serious. They did a part 2 interview on a podcast. Check it out. She's out here. She's out of her mind.
He agreed to do a podcast about it after?
I'm sorry, but when he his reaction was too taken aback for me to be fake. Like the window part is compelling, like you said.
That is compelling.
But he sounded very much like he's on his heels because he's being recorded the whole time, which automatically puts him at a disadvantage in this situation. But I don't want to just dissect their video. She's entitled and awful. We get that. I want to look at the list that we've got here and get your guys' take.
So second on the list is Applebee's.
I'm fine with that.
Chili's.
Mary?
Fine.
I don't think those are a good idea.
I don't
Because
think
you can
they're-
go to
yeah.
a place that's the same price point that isn't a chain with mid food.
It depends on who the guy is and what his attitude is and how he presents this, how he presents it.
I think it's just like
I wanted to take you to Applebee's because I have this memory of Applebee's, or because
he just lies.
There's
He's
this
like, oh, man.
thing about
okay,
Applebee's.
generally talking,
Like,
there's not some sentimental reason.
There has to be
behind
something
going
about
to
the guy.
Applebee's.
Like, it has to be an example. It has to be something about his personality that this is where he's taking you. And then you have to be like, okay, well, I'm interested in you. I'm interested in your personality. Let's give it a shot. I mean, give it a shot. Like, see what happens. You don't know.
I'm not saying I would refuse to, like this woman did.
You would
refuse
get
to
out of the car.
But I think it's just like put a little bit more thought into it. Just Google a place that she probably hasn't been to before.
See, I'm okay with any of the places that are actual sit-down restaurants. I don't like the ones
So Chipotle would be a no?
Chipotle would be out because you have to stand in line.
Okay. Olive Garden would be a yes then?
I'm okay with Olive Garden.
The movies is something most people agree on because you're not talking.
I'm fine with the movies, maybe. I mean, if you have dinner after, and
Not
then you have
before.
something to talk about.
Yeah,
right?
I think the idea is that you have to go somewhere after, because I actually
like
know
dinner and
couple
a
of
show
people-
is a classic thing. Like dinner and a show.
Yeah.
I know several people who kind of explained to me the idea is like, look, film being as subjective as it is, you can learn a lot about a person's view of the world by how they interpret a movie that you see together, and how your
Sure.
view of it contrasts with hers might tell you a lot about.
But
how
if
she
it's a
feels about
Marvel
things.
movie,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to go to see a Marvel movie.
Apparently, okay, I like the Olive Garden one. And I'll tell you why, because I just watched this video.
Yeah.
The
I
other
like
day.
Olive Garden.
I like. Well, first of all, because I talk a lot about how much I love olives here. Not relevant to this discussion, but apparently the cheese the cheese grater, you can buy that at Olive Garden. You can. They will sell you the cheese grater.
An effective cheese grater.
Yes, you
It's a
can
good
go
one.
there right now. You don't even have to sit down and eat. They will sell you one.
We got a $20 from Crispy Leg Transport LLC. I need that list. I'll go without the female. It'll be your self-dating experience.
Now your house, I get. That's not a
not a
first
date, that's a
spot.
hookup, yeah.
Yeah.
Fast food chains.
It's
no.
sad because there are a lot of girls, especially like college age girls, that will go to a guy's dorm or apartment or house or whatever as a date. It's not really a date
It's a
because
hookup.
it's just it's a hookup, or like let's smoke weed together. It's just like expect some more effort than that, and also it's
Yeah.
just not safe. Like
Yeah.
practically speaking, you should not be going to someone's house that you don't know.
You can also look at number 21 on here and see a lot of why the culture is so confused, because it says movie night, but we all know what that actually is
It's
code
Netflix
for.
and chill.
It's Netflix and chill. And what
Yeah.
that means in today's culture, it's code for we'll watch Netflix for about 7.5 minutes and then go on to other things. And then you wonder why culture is so confused right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of you people might look at the initiation of actual intimacy that early on as a sign that it could lead to something more. The other person might see it a completely different way.
Right.
Therein you have a reason why the new generation of people are so damn confused about everything. Right? Though to be fair, I will say that my first long-term relationship was literally that before it was a thing. Given that I met my first long-term relationship, I met a girl. She was a very beautiful, very nice girl on MySpace.
Oh yeah, I remember
Back
this.
in 2006 or 2005, it was right after I graduated high school, and she lived about 45 minutes away from me, and the idea was like, oh, you like movies? I like movies. It didn't have a name at the time, but that led to a 8-month relationship. So, you know, but then at the time, that wasn't the same thing as it is now, where it's almost code for...
She probably shouldn't have invited a stranger from MySpace to her house.
To her house, you know.
That was your first red flag.
It thankfully worked out for a while.
Yeah.
8 was any fast food chain. Gotta agree on that one.
No, that's bad.
No. But here's what they're missing. How you look and how you present yourself has everything to do with how a guy will treat you on a date.
Oh, people
and
are
this woman thinks that she's such a prize when she's wearing a lime green dress with her tits out and purple lipstick and giant hoop earrings the size of her face. And that has everything to do with how men treat her. And she is not putting out there the image of how she wants to be treated, which is like a princess. And, you know, she's also morbidly obese, so that factors in as well.
Is she?
At least from what I can see there.
Also, I don't think this list is in order. I don't think this is like a top to bottom. Like,
no, it's not like severity. It's just all of it. Buffalo Wild Wings and Wingstop. Sounds messy.
Yeah, it does sound messy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. It's like maybe it's the girl's idea. It's a covert check to see if he's able to eat cleanly.
Eat properly, right.
Red Lobster.
I would fail that test.
Red Lobster is on the same level as like Olive Garden.
Yeah, they're sort of the same, I guess.
A buffet, like Golden Corral.
Let's go.
That seems like a bit much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, because you have to stand in line.
It's the standing in line.
I don't like the standing in line, and I don't like. I guess the service, the whole thing about service, I really, if I'm going to go out to eat, I want someone to bring me food. You know, that's like part of it. That's like a big part
And then you
of
don't
it.
get to see how he treats waitstaff.
Right, that's a big deal too.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
IHOP.
Sure, I think that's okay. I mean, again, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on, and it also depends on like, is this someone you just met and they said, hi, we have never met before, but I would like to take you out? Or is this someone who you like know and they're like, hey, you know, we should totally do. I would love to take you out. Can I take you to IHOP? And you'd be like, yeah, that's
There's
funny.
context.
Yeah, it has to be part of it.
This is a big part of why these types of videos, and even us contributing to it by talking about it, we do so much negative for the culture because these are far more intricate issues than can ever be conveyed.
All of this is like, let me just come up with excuses. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, guys. Is that door open? Thank you, Ian.
Someone said, take your woman to a Renaissance fair. That's a better idea than most of these.
Why would coffee dates be on this list?
Yeah, why are coffee dates bad?
Starbucks and coffee dates. I think that if you have never met someone before, something like that makes a lot more sense than if you have context and you know them beforehand.
I agree.
It's about the time commitment.
What's wrong with ice cream?
Because like most of these people are talking about when you meet someone through a dating app and the first time you meet them, you don't really want to commit to hang out with them for like 5 hours. So if you go to coffee, it's just like, are you normal? Could I tolerate you for longer than 20 minutes?
That makes sense.
Then we'll go from there.
I like the idea that Waffle House is on here because you want to see how she reacts
And
to
Denny's.
unexpected violence. Like something comes out of nowhere, a chair
You can defend her from the flying chair.
Yeah. She needs to be able to see that you have strong situational awareness. And that at any given moment, a chair could come flying at her head and you will be that protector that the lady in green was talking about.
Situational awareness is such a big deal.
If you dive in front of the chair and catch it, I mean, she's going to take you home right then and there. She's going to be like, my hero, and she's going to go like this.
Next time, it's a movie night.
Exactly.
Okay, the gym.
No, that's terrible.
That's not a good idea.
No.
You just want to be sweaty.
Plus, then you're doing separate things.
Yeah, unless I guess you're spotting.
He's spotting her. She's spotting him.
That's so stupid.
That's not
Family
that's
functions
like work.
is psychotic.
That's like
family
taking her to
functions
work.
on a first date is crazy.
I'm like immediately picturing
You're
like
let
your
me
grandma's funeral.
Let me just
like you're taking
immediately
a date.
introduce you to all of the toxic family members that are gonna hate you.
It's my nephew's baptism. Or how about a bris?
Yeah,
like
that's
you're going to
psycho.
take your first date to a bris.
There was an episode of the show Castle where like Alexis, his daughter, has a new boyfriend, and it's Christmas Eve. And she was gonna go hang out with him and her friends, and he was really like, the dad was like, Castle's really, really sad because it's like a family tradition. They all hang out on Christmas Eve. He goes, bring him along. She's like, are you insane? That's too much pressure. No one's doing that on like a first date. That's bonkers.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Church is on here, so that came up earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that like, I guess that assumes that they're of the same denomination as you.
It would, but there are people that only date within their own religion. That would make more sense. I don't know how I feel about that. Because like at church, you know the people there, they know you. If you're showing up there with your dates, it's a little, I don't know, sort of like a family function. Like you're introducing them to this community of people that know you.
Yeah, I'm not good with that.
Yeah.
That's too much. It's like,
it doesn't seem like a great idea.
Yeah.
And you're not talking to each other because you're supposed to be paying attention
You
to
get done and you
church.
have a deep theological debate.
Also, you can't really go to dinner after unless it's 5 o'clock mass on Saturday, and then you go after that. But even so, I'd
Church
rather
and
just,
brunch? I don't know.
It's just too much.
Ice cream dates, sort of on par with coffee.
I'm fine with both of those.
Me too.
Low time commitment. Okay, something that requires a long drive. That might end up being awkward, or he might take you somewhere and kill you.
I'm not up for the long drive. You like a road trip with someone you already like.
Yeah, yeah.
Bowling is good. I'd go bowling on a first date. I'd also go to an arcade bar.
Yep. We got a $20 super chat here from Ryan the Eating Warrior. Says, in the era of foodie calls, I personally take first dates on coffee dates. Some are cool and earn the dinner date. Others self-select out. Protect your resources, gents, no matter what pay bracket you're in. Yeah, because that's like a trend now where women will just go on dates with guys to get the free meal. Obviously, we're not saying that all women. I'm saying like the worst of the worst users who brag about that type of stuff.
I mean, I like the idea of like I think a nightclub is also okay. I think a hookah bar is too smelly, and then you have to wash your hair.
Well, you think like wouldn't the nightclub just be hard to actually hear and actually interact and?
Yeah, but it depends on what you're into. Like if you're all into like like EDM or whatever, like that could be fun.
So it depends on how you met or if you know you have shared interests there.
The coffee date thing, again, is just because dating apps are the primary way that people are meeting up with dates.
Ooh.
If you know someone, then you already know whether you want to take them to dinner.
Hot dog cart and chill. I like it. Let's just go find her if you're in New York City, like meet me at the local.
That's a good first date is like, meet me in Columbus Circle and we'll walk through Central Park for a bit.
Yep.
What about bowling?
I'm into
Seems like
it.
too much moving around. You're not talking enough.
I like bowling.
Bowling is good because most people, and I'm included in this, aren't good at it, and it's a good. It's
like an icebreaker.
Yes, like if you're both shared experience not being good at something, and depending on how competitive both of them are. For instance, if he's like needlessly competitive, it might give you an idea. Like maybe I don't want to be with a guy who takes bowling this seriously.
You take her to watch you skate.
I would never.
I know you've known people who do.
I would never do that. I would never even make a girlfriend go like watch skate. Like if they,
I know you're strongly against that.
It's weird.
Yeah, the nightclub seems like not the environment for a date just because there's a lot of degeneracy going around, like people grinding on each other, music bumping way too loud for you to hear anything, you're getting drunk. A bar just for drinks, a lot of people were opposed to that one, also because it's loud, but I don't know. I don't think that's that terrible of an idea.
I think it's very similar to coffee. And if you're in a city and no one's driving,
enough,
and then you like go for a bar for drinks, and it's like, oh, we can meet up for drinks, and then maybe we'll have dinner if
depending on
we
how it
don't
goes.
hate each other. Yeah.
And then Waffle House, situational awareness.
Waffle House is good because, like, let's say you go to the nightclub and then you go to Waffle House.
That's fantastic.
That's perfect. That's a great night.
It's almost where you're supposed to end up.
Right? It is.
Right?
That's perfect.
And sporting events would depend on whether you're both into, like,
Right.
do you like baseball? Baseball games are fun.
Baseball games are fun.
It's always and there is more social interaction.
And there's walking around and like checking out. It's always fun to check out a stadium you haven't been to before.
I want to go see the Savannah Bananas. Still.
What's the Savannah Bananas?
That's a great first date.
Yes,
is that in Georgia? Savannah?
So it's like a circus baseball game. I don't even know how
like
to
it's
explain
not a real team. It's like a
two exhibition teams play each other, and it's like a live circus performance as a baseball game happens. It's incredible.
That would be a good first date.
Got to get there.
Write it down.
All right, guys. So basically, guys, I say that context matters on all of this.
To the comments on that one TikTok saying that the dude responded in a way that was like showing healthy boundaries, absolutely not. He was getting walked all over, and he should have said, "Get out of my car."
Yes.
And left. Yeah. If that were real. I don't know if it's real. I guess you can't believe anything on the internet anymore. But that guy was getting walked all over, and he should have kicked her out of the car and never spoken to her again if he had healthy boundaries.
But the thing is, she wins because she records it, and then he looks like the bad guy.
But she now looks terrible. Like, none of the comments that I saw were defending this behavior. Have you heard of Shira? Sprinkle Sprinkle? Mm-mm. She's this YouTuber that's kind of like red pill for women, where she thinks that you should behave like this on dates.
Oh, really?
Like, you have to test his ability to be the provider, but also you shouldn't contribute anything to the relationship, and he should contribute everything.
Why doesn't anyone just want to get along?
Right. It's an anti-love message is what it is. She says explicitly that women should marry only for money and never for love. And she herself has children with this man. She is married. And is selling this message to women, and it's just going to lead them to destructive situations.
In the chat, Caravaggio says that woman has never turned down cheesecake in her life.
Exactly. Yeah, like, again,
that's
you are sending a message with the way you look and present yourself in the world. And, you know, if guys keep on treating you badly, think about how you could be contributing to that.
All of this would be extreme amounts of work for me, who's an extreme homebody anyways. You'd be like, oh my God, I have to go out and do stuff. Oh, I'm gonna have to park somewhere.
I love going out and doing stuff. And then once I go do stuff, when I'm done doing stuff, I can be like, look, I was social. Now I have earned sitting at home and doing nothing.
I do that by going to work.
And not talking to people.
I do that
I go to work like I have an office at my house.
Yeah. Like when I'm done with work, the last thing I want to, like, I actually, no, that's not true. I go, like, I do make a daily joint of going to the store. I go to the store every day. That's my human interaction, which is with no one, because I go through the self-checkout line.
But it's a people watching activity.
Yes,
sort
exactly. And I got in my car. I went and I drove somewhere else, and I left the environment I was in. Because if you do stay in one environment for for too long all the time, you're obviously going to suffer mental side effects. But yeah, let's go to Super Chats. I want to see a fourth crisis party. We're almost there. Well, we've
got a lot to get through.
Yep,
I love doing stuff.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, reason for adoration is, as a marriage-minded individual, I find some time with God important to discernment. Not every date or even doing a holy hour, just some time for us to talk to God together. I think that a lot of people over-spiritualize dating in the Christian dating world, though. Like, a lot of it is, before I agree to go on a date with you, let me pray about it. It's like, no, just say no if you're not interested.
So there's like a whole Christian dating world. That's like a whole thing.
Yeah. Wow. And it's the whole thing is the normal dating world just totally upside down, because there are, I believe, from my observations, there are way more single women in it than men that they are interested in. So it's really the opposite of the normal dating app experience, where the women have endless options. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Bang Bang Lulu said, the meaning of life is what's hot and what's not.
Is that actually the meaning of life?
Yikes.
You disagree?
With that being the meaning of life, what's hot and what's not? I think I do.
It's like Robert California, everything is sex. Organizedbusinessservices.com said, working hard, LOL, try real estate investing. One of my REI email I subscribed to had broken links. I emailed the company back to tell them about the bad links. I got an email back. Response was, what?
Huh? What?
Bang Bang Lulu said, I don't give a duckin' damn goose. Okay.
Does your phone connect correct effing to ducking?
Mine did, and then I
outlived it.
No, I changed the autocorrect to correct duck to the F word, so that now when it autocorrects the F word to duck, it autocorrects it back.
Okay,
got it.
I like it.
I did a play once called Automoron where this girl got autocorrect installed in her head because she was tired of sounding racist. She didn't want to sound racist. And
I love you.
She went on like a whole tirade and she was trying to curse out her friend and she just kept saying duck, duck, duck. I never mean duck. And
I'm gonna need you to send me all of your plays.
I'll send you both of those.
Also, I have a very important question for you ladies. Duck, duck, goose, or duck, duck, gray duck?
What?
Duck, duck, gray duck.
Duck.
What the
I've
duck
never
is
heard
that?
of that? Yeah, what the duck is that?
It's a Midwest thing.
I don't know from the Midwest.
Never heard of that.
Duck, duck, gray duck. People, at least one person in the chat will understand.
Even
duck,
when
duck,
I was
gray duck.
moving out of New York, I was like, it needs to be in the Eastern time zone because I don't understand from anything else.
People are, yes, P-Tran says duck, duck, gray duck. Yep, see, it was a thing.
One of my son's teachers, actually, it's his favorite teacher, and we had parent-teacher conferences, and I was talking to her, and she's really interesting, and then she was like, I mentioned, she was like, oh, you guys moved from New York. I moved from New York just in the past year. And I was like, no wonder you're my son's favorite teacher. He understands you culturally. You're from our same place.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm from Queens. I was like, we lived in Bay Ridge. It was
They're
very
yelling
funny.
at me in the chat now about duck, duck, gray duck. Wah, wah, wah. Cry about it, will you, chat?
Why not duck, duck, gray goose?
Yep.
That's
I'm
better.
sure that
I
one's
want to
even
play that
better.
one.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my game. That's a good first date game.
Bree Hawk said Taco Bell crisis party. I'm not going to read the rest of that.
Well.
DCNC said never go to Amsterdam the same time as your dad.
That's a good call.
All right. High Voltage 75 said favorite Monopoly piece. I always picked the top hat.
I always like the shoe.
I don't remember now.
I don't even know what the hell I picked.
Maybe
I never finished the game anyways, so it doesn't matter.
There was like a Yorkshire Terrier, right?
Mm-hmm, there was a
I think
terrier.
I picked that one.
Yeah. I often went with the shoe because I could like...
DCNC said never go to Amsterdam on a bachelorette if your dad is also in Amsterdam.
So that's the same concept.
And I'm not going to read the rest of that one. Quite Blackpilled said you can bang a game of Monopoly out in like 3 hours. It's the game of global domination Risk that is impossible to finish.
Yeah, I've never finished a game of Risk.
And I've never played Go.
I've never played Go either, but I did have this friend who... That's such a long story. That's gonna
Go's really difficult, so I wouldn't be good at it.
It went that story is very difficult.
Isn't it true that like old Chinese generals used to teach their?
It's Chinese.
It's
because
it's a game of such strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
DCNC said next Amsterdam tourism campaign, fun for the whole family. Hopefully not. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, the Target website will tell you which item or which aisle an item is in.
My phone barely works when I'm not on Wi-Fi. like my internet is crap when I'm not on Wi-Fi. Plus,
Target has free Wi-Fi.
Does it?
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I used to work at Target. I manage the photo lab at Target. So if I'm walking...
Can you get a passport picture at Target?
You could not back when I was there. You may be able to do now.
Probably not.
But
I doubt it has advanced.
When you could do it at like Walgreens or stuff like that.
I did that.
So
yeah.
When I go to Target, if I hear if there's somebody who's like working and walks by and they have like the thing, their walkie-talkie, and it says like backup cashier needed at the front lanes, my brain turns off and I start walking to the front lanes because it's like a trigger in my brain. I'm like Zoolander. I just start walking to the front of the store, and it takes a few seconds for me to snap out of it and then walk back to what I was doing. It's not good, man.
DCNC said tourism tagline, Amsterdam where everything tastes familiar.
So this is some trip.
There's a $50 super chat here that just came through from Beanbag Actual. Thank you.
No message. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bucky,
that is a hell of a trip to Amsterdam, though.
Yeah, really something's going on there. I think you probably need a novella. Check out some George Bataille first.
Bucky Ducky said skipping Starbucks can make a difference. Remember, individual actions drive change. If more people embraced economic voting, change would be significant.
The last time I went to Starbucks, I left.
What are you laughing about?
Before I got my stuff. They were so focused on the call-in orders or whatever in the drive-through that I stood there for 25 minutes waiting for an iced coffee and then left.
John Stewart said playing video games, watching my income go up. Is that what you were laughing about?
No, it was just such a detailed explanation about like putting your money where it should go. It was eloquent. I liked it.
Okay.
It was good.
The Dearly Departed said, "Hi, I'm a small town guy. Now hippity hoppity, get off my property." Mox Normandy said, "Love the show. Really helps get through work days."
Thank you.
Oh, that's cool.
As you know,
Thank
see,
you
that's
for watching.
as I tell people, that is the biggest compliment you can give this show for me, because so many podcasts were the reason I was able to get through work days. When I get to hear
same.
that from other people, that's a big deal. So thank you.
Sorry I missed that $20, John Stewart. OrganizedBusinessServices.com said, "This is new. NJ had to change my name for my email."
Oh,
okay. Explore Serenity sent a thank you message.
thank you. And it's got a
Thanks.
icon there.
Oh my goodness said, "Mary, you're my bead girl. Libby, your book mama. Brett is most alpha of the Sigmas. Man is literally Patrick Bateman. I hope you're not.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I hope you're not Patrick Bateman.
It's kind of a base thing to say, but also not good if it's true.
Are you the most alpha of the Sigmas?
Of the Sigmas,
Are you a Sigma male?
I reject any and all labels of such, right? Because it's just not good. Don't label yourself,
Brewmaster Monk said, "Cheesecake Factory is what I call my basement."
Yikes.
Now I want to go to the Cheesecake Factory tonight.
There's not one near here, as far as I know.
We went to one when we were out here. It was probably in Virginia.
Are we gonna dox our Cheesecake Factory?
I think it was in Virginia.
The ninja from Pop Culture Planet said 3D puzzles are cool.
I can't believe you get that name right every time. I would screw it up every time.
I'm just a genius. What can I
You
say? Shane H. Wilder said, "She sounds entitled, and who streams their date?"
Seriously.
Like, imagine if she did go on a TikTok live stream immediately. Crispy Leg Transport LLC. Already read that one. Shane H. Wilder said, "Sushi is always a good choice."
No, thank you. But I don't eat anything that comes from the water, so that's just the way it is.
Nothing.
Cringe.
Nothing. No,
Lichens.
Nothing. Okay,
Cringe.
there's a story. And I think I've told this on here before. My general lack of faith in humanity and my extreme distrust of individuals comes from a time when my dad, exasperated with my picky eating because I am the world's pickiest eater, once tried to pass off fish sticks as chicken nuggets.
Ooh.
And
that is a breach of trust.
And as soon as it happened, not only did I no longer trust him, but the fact that the idea that the smell is so distinct, I couldn't trust myself after that either. I'm like, how did I not catch that? I basically haven't trusted another human being since that day when I was like 6 years old.
Fair. That's fair.
It's been a long time.
You might have noticed the difference in the shape of the fish sticks.
Well, again, I
versus
no longer trust
nugget.
myself.
Right.
Okay?
Black Green Love said, "I've never been to the Cheesecake Factory.
You should go.
Recommend." But it's just a lot of food. I just don't want to stuff my face on a date like that. It's Over 9,000 said, "Why isn't Panda Express on the list? You have to stand in line for that too."
Yeah, that's not good. The
Yeah.
standing in line is not okay. You don't want to stand in line.
Breehawk said, "What you think about House of Usher on Netflix?"
I haven't watched it.
What is this?
House of the Fall of Usher. I haven't watched it.
What is this about?
People, I mean, like people are all up in arms about it a couple weeks ago, but I haven't seen it.
It's about Usher's house?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Bang Bang Lulu said, "Ouija board first dates."
Mary
Absolutely
disavows.
not.
Mary says no.
Disavow.
I didn't know that was such a big deal until recently. Like recently I saw some post about Ouija boards and a bunch of people in the comments were just like, yeah, no. Like people that I wouldn't think.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're almost done. First date making a crisis party sound effect. That's what I'll do.
That doesn't sound riveting.
It sounds like a very short date.
It is. Well, yeah,
Oh,
it doesn't take super long to make
The
them.
Dearly Parted said, "They say a date with a little danger will cause a release of adrenaline and promote bonding. So we'll walk down MLK Boulevard for a first date."
That's funny.
It's a Chris Rock skit. He's like, Martin Luther King stood for nonviolence. Now what's Martin Luther King? A street. And I don't care where you are in America. If you're on Martin Luther King Boulevard, there's some violence going down.
Beanbag Actual already read that. Dearly Derp-Arted said it's the Dearly Derp-Arted kids these days. Yes.
You got it right.
Well, we both got it wrong at first.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it.
Ruben Hernandez said, just got home. What's up, ladies? Texas, baby.
There you go. Perfect.
What's up?
What's up?
Tacos would be a good first date.
Yeah.
Tacos sound
Speaking of tacos, speaking of Texas.
All right,
where I
guys.
always want brisket tacos.
I could now I want tacos. Damn it, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry also. And as I said, I didn't bring any dinner.
You gotta go straight to IRL basically after this.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to like go check out the fridge.
Yep.
There's sushi.
Is there sushi?
Yep. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video? Would you subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already? Thank you so much for that. Libby, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
I am at Libby Emmons on Twitter, and you can check out all the great stuff we're doing at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. And if you want to be a subscriber, that would be awesome. And it's thepostmillennial.com/subscribe.
Perfect. In the chat, Explore Serenity says Brett's Chris Rock sounds like Bernie Mac. I'll take that comparison. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And I believe I'm going to be on Simpcast this Sunday. I believe that's 9 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, with Chrissy?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then there's one more super chat here from the Dearly Derp-Parted. Says most guys would be fine with eating tacos. And one from DCNC says,
don't.
Is this more Amsterdam?
Don't say that, Brett.
Yeah, that's good. You don't want to read it?
No.
Okay. $20 one here from Black Rain Love says, on medical leave from work for the next 2 weeks so I can catch y'all live. I normally listen during the grave shift. Hi, Mary. Hi, Libby. Hi, Brett.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes.
How's
Perfect.
it going?
All right, guys. Yeah, you did your outro, right? You're good?
Mm-hmm.
You're good? Perfect. All right, guys. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. I do want to let you know that I will be live with Colonel Kurtz again this Friday. We took last Friday off, 9 p.m. tonight. We're going from 9 to 11, so please check us out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Pop Culture Crisis is here live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to the audio version of this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. You guys can go over, now that it is after 5 p.m., Gamermaid's channel is live. Go ahead and check them out. We will be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Later.